Chapter 2995. Palace Master? Qin Feiyang was taken aback. After pondering for a while, he waved his hand and a shadow appeared. It was the blood-red clothed old man. When they saw the blood-red clothed old man's shadow, the two looked extremely respectful. Qin Feiyang asked, "He is your palace master?" "Yes." The two nodded. "Your blood palace really thinks highly of me. Even your palace master came to find me personally." But, Qin Feiyang raised the corner of his mouth slightly and said, "Didn't your palace master tell you that I have a sovereign divine weapon?" "What? A sovereign divine weapon?" As soon as these words came out, not only the two men, but also Luo Tianshan, giant scorpion, and the other sea beasts trembled. A sovereign divine weapon. What a joke. In the entire sky cloud realm, there were only a handful of sovereign divine weapons. How could a person from the lower realm have such a terrifying weapon? I really didn't tell you. But thinking about it, if I tell you about this, who in your blood palace would dare to find me? Qin Feiyang laughed. Stop pretending. If you have a sovereign divine weapon, I'll write my name backwards. The two men sneered. Qin Feiyang shook his head and asked, "Do you know what you're like now?" The two frowned. Qin Feiyang said, "You're all like that short-sighted frog at the bottom of the well. You're courting death." The two men were furious. Not only was he pretending, but he also humiliated them again and again. They really couldn't stand it. Boom! The two men's aura erupted and turned into an invisible torrent, roaring at Qin Feiyang. "You're the ones courting death." Qin Feiyang's eyes were also filled with killing intent. His mind moved slightly, but the castle didn't appear. What was the meaning of this? Immediately, he was stunned. "Don't you have a sovereign divine weapon? What are you still doing there? If you don't take out your sovereign divine weapon, it's an order." Luo Tianshan and the others sneered. Qin Feiyang turned a deaf ear and frowned. What was the meaning of this castle? When facing Old Hai and the dragons, they didn't even need to greet them. But now, he had taken the initiative to let it out, yet he remained still? Wait a minute. Could it be because of the sovereign weapon? Thinking of this, Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. It seemed like it really was because of the sovereign weapon. The reason he fought the dragons was because he had the sacred ice sword. The reason he fought with Old Hai was because of the horsetail whisk. In other words, only when it encountered a sovereign weapon would the castle make a move. In the blink of an eye, the aura of the two men had already arrived. Qin Feiyang's body was instantly lacerated and blood flowed out. After all, this was the aura of someone at the great circle of the imperishable realm. How could he possibly withstand it? Hurry up and show it. What are you standing there for? Are you an idiot? A ruler's weapon can easily kill two lords in a second, said Yi Futian, shaking his head. Stop dawdling. Hurry up and take it out. Let us, the frogs at the bottom of the well, broaden our horizons. Luo Tianshan and the others laughed presumptuously. When the two men heard this, they also looked at Qin Feiyang mockingly. Everyone knew how to brag. But could they be more realistic? If you said that you had a heaven-defying weapon, everyone might believe it. But a ruler's weapon? You dare to say that you have such a weapon? Wasn't this slapping your own face? Did you think that they were scared? That they would immediately run away with their tails between their legs if they said that they had a ruler's weapon? Naive. Whoosh. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and whispered, "Do I still need a ruler's weapon for small fries like you?" Clang. With a thought, the dragon-slaying sword appeared. The dragon-slaying sword was one of the heaven-defying weapons he had obtained in the Nether King's Hell. Although it was not as powerful as the Sunset Divine Bow, it had been in the land of origin all this time. Its strength had also increased by a lot. This is a heaven-defying weapon. Luo Tianshan and the others narrowed their eyes. Even if it was not a ruler's weapon, it was still shocking enough. Because the heaven-defying weapon's power was comparable to a half-step ruler's. The two men's expressions changed. Although they were both at the peak imperishable realm, they were still too far away from a half-step ruler. Kill them. Qin Feiyang said coldly. Clang. The dragon-slaying sword immediately awakened, and a world-destroying sharpness suddenly surged out. The two men's auras were directly annihilated. Qin Feiyang took out a life-divine pill and threw it into his mouth, looking coldly at the two men. Retreat. Seeing the dragon-slaying sword awakening, the two men's pupils constricted, and they immediately turned and fled. You want to leave after provoking the young master? The dragon-slaying sword's artifact spirit snorted with disdain. Then, the sword tore through the sky and slashed at the two men. Ah! Accompanied by two screams, the two men's blood splattered across the sky. However, they were not dead. The dragon-slaying sword said, "Young master, should we keep them? After all, they are at the peak imperishable realm. They can still run errands. No need. A mere peak imperishable realm can't enter my eyes at all." Qin Feiyang shook his head. Then there's no other way. The young master doesn't like you. Go to hell. The dragon-slaying sword slashed again, and the two men screamed in despair again. Their bodies and souls were destroyed. This, Luo Tianshan and the others, the giant scorpion and the other sea beasts all looked at Qin Feiyang and the dragon-slaying sword in shock. Two peak imperishable realm experts were killed in seconds just like that? And one had to know that they were from the Blood Palace. The Blood Palace was a behemoth that no one dared to provoke. This was a ruthless person. He wasn't even afraid of the Blood Palace. Run! Luo Tianshan roared. Immediately, a group of 7 people, as well as the giant scorpion and other sea beasts, fled frantically. Since you're all here, then don't leave. Qin Feiyang said, using the walk formula. He landed in front of the skinny middle-aged man. Don't kill me. The skinny middle-aged man's body trembled and he hurriedly roared. But before he finished speaking, Qin Feiyang slapped him with his palm, and a terrifying power surged out. The skinny middle-aged man had his chi seed destroyed before, so he could only rely on his divine soul to fight. How could a mere divine soul and divine sense be Qin Feiyang's opponent? However, with just one palm, the divine sense was directly shattered. Immediately after, Qin Feiyang slapped the skinny middle-aged man's head. With a crack, the head exploded like a watermelon, and the divine soul was annihilated on the spot. Clang! At the same time, the dragon-slaying sword carried a sharp edge that could destroy heaven and earth, killing the other 5 people. Looking at this scene, Luo Tianshan stood there in despair, not daring to move. The giant scorpion and other sea beasts were the same. Not to mention the dragon-slaying sword, even Qin Feiyang's strength was not something they could contend with. Qin Feiyang walked step by step in front of Luo Tianshan. Plop! Luo Tianshan immediately knelt in the void, his face pale and trembling. Is there anything you want to say? Qin Feiyang said indifferently. Luo Tianshan stammered and panicked. Qin Feiyang said, do you think I don't know that you guys have been trying to sneak attack me from behind? You know? Luo Tianshan looked at Qin Feiyang in a daze. Yes, I know. Qin Feiyang nodded. Luo Tianshan said in surprise, since you know, then why didn't you strike first? Qin Feiyang said, because I didn't put you guys in my eyes at all. You guys can do whatever you want. Hearing this, Luo Tianshan couldn't help but smile bitterly. He thought that it was flawless, but he didn't know that the other party had already noticed it. What a joke. Jumping around under the other party's nose was simply a clown. Kill. Luo Tianshan sighed and closed his eyes to wait for death. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and a puppet imprint appeared, and said, "Don't resist, maybe I'll spare your life." What is this? Luo Tianshan opened his eyes and stared at the puppet imprint in surprise. Qin Feiyang didn't answer. With a wave of his hand, the puppet imprint disappeared into Luo Tianshan's sea of consciousness. Ah! Luo Tianshan suddenly screamed miserably. At this level, even if the sea of qi was broken and his cultivation was abolished, Qin Feiyang didn't dare to easily use the puppet technique to control others. Because the puppet technique controlled the divine soul. As long as the divine soul was fine, the other party could resist when they were controlled. And the stronger the other party's cultivation, the more terrifying the backlash caused by the resistance. The divine soul would be shattered, and the divine soul would be annihilated. Therefore, the other party must be willing. Especially people like the purple-clothed youth, they left their divine soul in other places and were not afraid of death. Because even if they died, they could be reborn. Therefore, if he was controlled, he would definitely resist desperately. But it was different now. Luo Tianshan was so afraid of death that he obviously didn't leave his divine soul in advance. And in the face of the threat of death, he naturally didn't dare to resist. The most important thing was. Qin Feiyang said that if he didn't resist, he might still keep his life. So in Luo Tianshan's view, this was a glimmer of hope. If there was hope for survival, then of course he had to cooperate. Even if it was only 1 in 10,000. The puppet technique was successfully completed. After all, Luo Tianshan was the strongest in the undead stage. Although Qin Feiyang didn't say it explicitly, he already knew that this was a kind of control-type divine art. Then, Qin Feiyang looked at the giant scorpion and the other sea beasts. A group of sea beasts gathered together and looked at Qin Feiyang with fear and trepidation. The giant scorpion trembled and said, "Let me tell you, this emperor's boss is the sea lion emperor." And then? Qin Feiyang asked faintly. The giant scorpion said, "If you dare to touch this emperor, my boss will not let you go." Qin Feiyang smiled and was silent for a long time, then said, "Tell the sea lion emperor, tell the sea beasts in this sea area not to find trouble with me, otherwise you will have to bear the consequences." "You want to let me go?" The giant scorpion was stunned. "You don't want to leave, do you?" Qin Feiyang said indifferently. "Think about it." The giant scorpion nodded. "Then get out of here," Qin Feiyang shouted. The giant scorpion immediately trembled and ran away with the alligator and the other sea beasts. "Kid, you have guts. But don't be complacent too early, this sea area is our territory, if you want to walk out alive, let me tell you, it's difficult." When it was about to disappear, the giant scorpion shouted. Qin Feiyang was taken aback, shook his head and said, "I regret not killing it." What it said does make sense. After all, this is their territory, if you can avoid provoking them, try not to. The dragon-slaying sword spirit said. Chapter 2996. That's what I think too. Qin Feiyang nodded his head. Now that he had already provoked a blood haul, if he angered the sea beasts here, it would be adding insult to injury. However, if this giant scorpion really dared to cause trouble for him again, then he would go all out. At most, he would kill his way out. Who? After letting out a long breath, Qin Feiyang waved his hand and appeared in the Black Tortoise realm with the dragon-slaying sword and Luo Tianshan. This is, as soon as Luo Tianshan entered the Black Tortoise realm, he was dumbstruck when he felt the terrifying energy of the crystal vein and the soul vein. Furthermore, this place was way too big. With his initial undead stage cultivation, he was actually unable to see the end. Qin Dage. Fei Yang. Fire Lotus and Mermaid Princess greeted him. They had been paying attention to the situation outside, and when they saw that Qin Fei Yang was safe and sound, they heaved a sigh of relief. The five-clawed golden dragon and the others were also there. Seeing that Qin Fei Yang was fine, they continued to cultivate. Right now, the most important thing was to increase his strength. Because the heavenly cloud realm had already surpassed the ancient realm by too much. Their strength was considered top-notch in the ancient realm, but in the heavenly cloud realm where experts were as common as clouds, they could only be considered mid-tier at most. Moreover, from this battle, they also came to a conclusion. As long as he did not encounter the sovereign divine weapon, then Qin Fei Yang would have enough power to protect himself. So in the future, there was no need to worry too much. Qin Fei Yang nodded to the two girls, then turned to look at the dragon-slaying sword and said with a smile, "You guys have to work hard and quickly catch up with the sunset bow and the others." "All right." The dragon-slaying sword's artifact spirit replied. "Then go." Qin Fei Yang waved his hand. The dragon-slaying sword immediately soared into the sky and disappeared without a trace. Luo Tianshan looked around, looked at Qin Fei Yang, and asked in surprise, "Is this really a spatial divine object? If it's not a spatial divine object, then what do you think it is?" Qin Fei Yang asked playfully. Luo Tianshan murmured, "I feel like this place is more like a real world." Qin Fei Yang smiled faintly. At least he had a good eye. He then looked at Fire Lotus and said, "Why don't we let Big Black Wolf and Black Panther take care of the Black Tortoise world in the future?" Fire Lotus was stunned and asked, "Why?" Qin Fei Yang said, "You're our hope now, so you have to focus on your cultivation." "I'm your hope?" Fire Lotus was stunned and bitterly smiled, "You're making fun of me, aren't you?" There were so many people in the Black Tortoise world, how could it be her turn? For example, the mad scientist grasped the power of 3 laws. In the future, he would definitely become a peak existence. Why would I make fun of you? You've comprehended the laws of time. How terrifying are these laws of time? They can be said to be one of the strongest laws. Once you fully comprehend it, your means will be heaven-defying. Qin Fei Yang said. Law of time. When Luo Tianshan heard this, he looked at Fire Lotus in horror. He thought that she was just a pretty vase, but he didn't expect her to be so terrifying. Qin Fei Yang and the others didn't know, but he was born in the sky cloud world and was very clear about the situation there. In the entire sky cloud world, the number of people who comprehended the laws of time was pitifully few. Fire Lotus heard this, thought for a moment, and smiled. Hearing you say this, it seems to be the case. So, you have to calm down and don't care about the trivial matters of the Black Tortoise world. Qin Fei Yang said. But I'm not at ease leaving it to Big Black Wolf and the others. After all, everything in the Black Tortoise world is my painstaking effort. Fire Lotus said. What's there to be worried about? They've been following you for so long, especially the 3 Black Panther brothers. They're by your side almost every day. Even if they're a few idiots, they should have learned it by now. Moreover, they're not stupid. If you're really worried, you can let Pai Lupi and Theta Wang assist them. To be honest, they've been training in the Black Tortoise world for these years, and now their ability is really not small. Qin Fei Yang smiled. Then if you let them assist, give them the right to freely enter and exit the Devil's Land. Fire Lotus said. Qin Fei Yang said, it's not a big deal to give them this right, after all, they're trustworthy. Fire Lotus pondered for a moment, then nodded, okay, I'll arrange it when I have time. Qin Fei Yang nodded, then turned to look at Luo Tianshan. Luo Tianshan was now completely confused. Black Tortoise World? Devil's Land? What are these things? He couldn't understand at all. Bear with it. Qin Fei Yang said. Luo Tianshan was stunned, and then a tearing pain came from his divine soul. That's right. Qin Feiyang was reading his memories. It was too troublesome to ask one by one, so he directly read this person's memories. Fire Lotus and Mermaid Princess also knew what Qin Feiyang was doing. And they knew that this wouldn't be over for a while. After all, Luo Tianshan had a small success Immortal Realm cultivation base, and had experienced countless things in his life. It would take a lot of time to read his memories. Fire Lotus retracted her gaze and closed her eyes. After a while, with a thought, two people suddenly appeared in front of her out of thin air. These two people were Pai Lupi and Theta Wang. As the current guardian of the Black Tortoise world, Fire Lotus naturally had the ability to capture people across space. Pai Lupi and Theta Wang were stunned. But when they saw Qin Feiyang and Fire Lotus, their eyes suddenly trembled, and their expressions became extremely respectful. They bowed and said, "Greetings, Miss Fire Lotus." Fire Lotus smiled and said, "I called you over because I have something to discuss with you." "What do you mean?" "All these years, if it weren't for you and the Lord Ruler's care, would the two of us have today's status in the Black Tortoise world? You've given us a new lease on life, so if there's anything, just tell us. There's no need to discuss." Pai Lupi and Theta Wang hurriedly said, overwhelmed by the favor. Fire Lotus smiled and pointed to the mermaid princess next to her. "Let me introduce you. This is Qin Deja's wife." The two of them were slightly stunned and turned to look at the mermaid princess. Although the mermaid princess had been in the Black Tortoise world for many years, because she rarely appeared, the two of them didn't know much about the mermaid princess. "We're officially married," Fire Lotus said. Hearing this, the two of them hurriedly bowed and said, "Greetings, Lord Ruler's wife." Mermaid Princess waved her hand and said, "No need to be so polite. Just call me sister-in-law from now on." "How can that be?" The two of them hurriedly shook their heads. If they called her sister-in-law, wouldn't that make the Lord Ruler their brother? That would be extremely disrespectful. "If I say it's okay, it's okay. Although I haven't officially met the two of you in these years, I know all the contributions you've made to the Black Tortoise world. Especially the help you've given to Feiyang. I'm very grateful. I can also see that Feiyang trusts the two of you, so we'll be a family from now on." "A family, of course we can't treat each other like outsiders, right?" Mermaid Princess smiled. The two of them looked at each other. To tell the truth, they were originally two small characters. It was because of the care of Qin Feiyang and Fire Lotus that they had today's status. In their hearts, they had always thought of themselves as the subordinates of Qin Feiyang and Fire Lotus. What family? They didn't even dare to think about it. Because in their opinion, this was climbing up the social ladder. Therefore, when they heard Mermaid Princess words, they were extremely touched. But at the same time, they were a little flustered. After all, they were already used to this way of getting along. Suddenly becoming a family really made them feel a little scared. The two of them couldn't help but look at Qin Feiyang, but Qin Feiyang was obviously busy right now, so they didn't want to disturb him. So, they looked at Fire Lotus. "Let's listen to her." Fire Lotus smiled. The two of them looked at each other, then bowed and said, "Then we'll respectfully accept." The mermaid princess smiled faintly. Pai Lupi asked, "Miss Fire Lotus, sister-in-law, then what exactly do you want us to do?" Fire Lotus smiled and said, "From now on, the two of you can freely enter and exit the Devil's Land." What? The two of them were shocked. In their eyes, the Devil's Land was a holy land that absolutely couldn't be touched. But now, they were actually told that they could freely enter and exit? What was going on? Fire Lotus said, "This is to make it easier for you to manage the Black Tortoise world in the future." Manage the Black Tortoise world? The two of them were shocked again. This was something that he had never expected. Such an important task was actually given to them. What's wrong? Are you not happy? Fire Lotus smiled and asked. No, no. We're more than happy, but we're afraid that we're not up to the task and will disappoint Miss Fire Lotus and sister-in-law's expectations. The two of them said. It's fine. Experience is accumulated slowly. You two will first assist the 3 Black Wolf and Black Panther brothers. Fire Lotus said. Pai Lupi glanced at Qin Feiyang and asked, then, does the ruler agree to this? This is what he wants. Fire Lotus smiled. The two of them looked at each other, then knelt in the void and respectfully said, thank you for Miss Fire Lotus's nurturing, we will definitely do our best to manage the Black Tortoise world. Don't kneel so easily. We don't like this. If Qin Dage sees this, he will instead blame you, quickly get up. Fire Lotus smiled. Yes. The two of them respectfully replied and stood up, their faces full of smiles. With this, their status in the Black Tortoise world soared again. As expected. When following others, they had to follow the right people. For example, if it was the dragons, how could they receive such treatment? Alright, go find the 3 Black Wolf and Black Panther brothers, and learn from them. Fire Lotus waved her hand. Yes. The two of them replied and looked down at the herb field below, quickly finding the 3 Black Wolf and Black Panther brothers on the west side of the herb field. Immediately. The two of them bowed and flew towards the 3 Black Wolf and Black Panther brothers. Mermaid Princess looked at their backs and smiled, this person's ability is truly unpredictable. Yes. Thinking back to when they were in Fan Yunzhang's City Lord's mansion, they were just 2 unknown guards. Who would have thought that one day, they would become the managers of such a large world? It's still the same thing, you have to follow the right people. If you follow the dragons, you are destined to be unknown for the rest of your life. Fire Lotus shook her head and smiled. Mermaid Princess smiled faintly, then the two of them became silent, quietly looking at Qin Feiyang. Chapter 2997. Time passed by little. It wasn't until evening that the memory reading ended. So fast? But Fire Lotus and Mermaid Princess were very surprised. Because according to their estimation, it would take at least 10 days to half a month. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, I just read the basic memories about the Tianyun realm. I see. The Mermaid Princess nodded in realization. Fire Lotus asked, what's the situation in the Tianyun realm? You don't know, but the Tianyun realm is really a terrifying place. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Terrifying? The two looked at each other. Let's talk about the geography of the Tianyun realm first. There are 4 continents in the entire Tianyun realm. They are the Eastern Continent, the Western Continent, the Northern Continent, and the Southern Continent. Do you know how big these 4 continents are? It's no exaggeration to say that any continent is comparable to the entire ancient realm. Qin Feiyang said. The entire ancient realm? The two were shocked. Yes. Only the Divine Land and the 4 major regions can compare to the Tianyun realm. Qin Feiyang nodded. Mermaid Princess said in surprise, then according to what you said, the Tianyun realm is as big as 4 ancient realms? More than that. Qin Feiyang shook his head. More than that? Mermaid Princess was stunned. Yes. In addition to these 4 continents, there is a bigger place. Qin Feiyang said. Where? The two were surprised. It was bigger than the 4 continents? It's the sea area where we are now. This sea area is called the Tianyun Sea. The size of the Tianyun Sea is about the same as the 4 continents. In other words, it needs 5 ancient realms to be comparable to the Tianyun realm. Qin Feiyang said. The two took a deep breath, trying to calm the shock in their hearts, but they couldn't. In their opinion, the ancient realms were big enough, but the Tianyun realm was as big as 5 ancient realms. This was too inconceivable. Then wouldn't it be difficult for us to cross the sky cloud realm in a short period of time with our cultivation? Fire Lotus said. That's for sure. Qin Feiyang nodded. All right. Fire Lotus nodded. She had finally seen what a great world was. Compared to the sky cloud realm, the black tortoise realm was just the tip of the iceberg. Where is the blood hull? The mermaid princess asked. Western continent. Qin Feiyang said. Western continent? The mermaid princess stared blankly for a moment before coming to a realization. No wonder that little rabbit told us to head east. It wants us to avoid being hunted down by the western continent. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded and said with a smile, looks like our 100 jars of celestial immortal wine were not given in vain. The mermaid princess shook her head and smiled, but what does it mean when it says that someone might come to help us? I'm not sure about that. But I think it should be related to the major forces of the eastern continent. Qin Feiyang guessed. What do you mean? The mermaid princess was suspicious. There are actually disputes between the 4 continents. Especially between the eastern and western continents. The 2 continents have been fighting openly and secretly for many years. And every few days, there will be a war between the 2 sides. The little rabbit told us to go to the eastern continent. It probably wants us to go there to seek refuge. Qin Feiyang said. Fire Lotus asked, what about Elder Hua? Which force does he belong to? I didn't find this in Luo Tianshan's memory. Luo Tianshan is just a small figure in the sky cloud realm. He is not qualified to come into contact with such a level of powerhouse. But I guess this Elder Hua should belong to some force in the eastern continent. Because in the spacetime transmission channel, he said that he is Elder Hai's opponent. Qin Feiyang analyzed. Makes sense. The mermaid princess and Fire Lotus nodded. Although Luo Tianshan is not qualified to come into contact with a powerhouse like Elder Hua, he should know about the major forces in the eastern continent. Fire Lotus said. Luo Tianshan is from the eastern continent. Of course he knows. The most terrifying force in the eastern continent is a force called the Demonic Palace. The overall force of the Demonic Palace is on par with the Blood Palace in the western continent. Qin Feiyang said. Demonic Palace, Fire Lotus murmured and frowned, why do I feel that this name doesn't sound like a good person? Even the name of the Blood Palace is the same. We can't tell whether they are good or bad from a name. The demons in this world are not unforgivable. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Fire Lotus shook her head and smiled, I am narrow-minded. Of course. Since it is called the Demonic Palace, then the people of the Demonic Palace must be very cruel. So after entering the eastern continent, we better not get involved with them. Just in case. Qin Feiyang said. Fire Lotus nodded. The mermaid princess asked, what about the distribution of forces in the Heavenly Cloud Sea? The Heavenly Cloud Sea is undoubtedly a paradise for sea beasts. And the Heavenly Cloud Sea is located at the center of the Heavenly Cloud Realm. In other words, the 4 continents surround the Heavenly Cloud Sea. According to my speculation, the island where the little rabbit is located is the boundary between the 4 continents. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Is that so? Fire Lotus murmured. As for the sea beasts here, they are not ordinary terrifying. There are a total of 8 great beast emperors here. They each control this sea area, and the Sea Lion Emperor is one of them. The strength of these 8 great beast emperors is heaven-defying. And above the 8 great beast emperors, there is an even more terrifying existence. This is the legendary beast god. Qin Feiyang said. Beast god? The two were slightly taken aback and frowned. It can't be that small beast, right? Small beast? There is no such thing in Luo Tianshan's memory. Because this beast god has always been very mysterious. There are many people who know about it, but those who have seen it are probably only the people with the highest authority in the 4 continents. But I think it shouldn't be the small beast. After all, it is the companion of the god of creation. How could it have the leisure to come and rule this sea area? Qin Feiyang said. I hope it's not it. Fire Lotus sighed and was a little worried. Qin Feiyang said, if it's really it, I want to try and see if the castle can suppress it. Over the years, the castle had grown a lot and was stronger than before it was sealed. Against the small beast, it might have the strength to fight. Mermaid Princess asked, then are there many sovereign weapons here? Not many. There are only a few. According to Luo Tianshan's memory, only the strongest forces, such as the Demon Hall and the Blood Hall, have them. Qin Feiyang said. Mermaid Princess nodded and said with a smile, if that's the case, it won't be difficult for Elder Hua to guess. Yes. He should be one of these super powerful people. And he should be hiding his cultivation like Elder Hai. Qin Feiyang said. Fire Lotus said, what about the southern and northern continents? The strongest forces in these 2 continents are the Heavenly Hall and the Divine Hall. Just like their names, the people of these 2 forces are more benevolent and generous. But this is only on the surface. We will only know their true character after we get to know them. Qin Feiyang said. Mermaid Princess and Fire Lotus couldn't help but nod. Indeed. Before they really got to know them, they couldn't judge carelessly. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, then let's stop here first. We'll talk about the rest later. Okay. The 2 nodded. Mermaid Princess looked at Luo Tianshan, who was standing at the side with an uneasy face, and asked, what should we do with him? Him? Qin Feiyang also turned to look at Luo Tianshan. Don't kill me, although I'm not strong, I know the Sky Cloud Realm well. You just came to the Sky Cloud Realm, you will definitely need me. Luo Tianshan shuddered and quickly looked at the 3. No need. Qin Feiyang shook his head. With a thought, Luo Tianshan lost consciousness and became a puppet. This was the puppet technique. No matter how powerful a person was, as long as they were controlled, they could be turned into a puppet without consciousness. Fire Lotus suddenly thought of something and asked, Qin Dage, is there any information about that badge in his memory? No. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Then it seems that this badge is really not simple. How about, we listen to that little rabbit and throw it away? Fire Lotus said. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, since it's so important, wouldn't it be a pity to throw it away? But, Fire Lotus frowned. It's okay. I know what to do. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Okay. Fire Lotus nodded. Qin Feiyang said, okay then, I'll go out first. You guys work hard to cultivate. Take me with you. Mermaid Princess said. Qin Feiyang was stunned and said speechlessly, you really want to follow me outside and take risks? Why? You don't want to. Mermaid Princess pouted. Qin Feiyang said, no, I'm concerned about you. I want to follow you. Mermaid Princess stepped forward and firmly hugged Qin Feiyang's arm. Qin Feiyang looked at Fire Lotus for help. Don't involve me in the matter between you two. Fire Lotus chuckled and turned around to leave without looking back. This girl. Qin Feiyang was helpless. Okay, I know you're doing this for my own good. I'm not that kind of clingy woman. Be careful. I'll take the opportunity to comprehend the power of law. Mermaid Princess let go of Qin Feiyang and said. Thank you, wifey, I'll reward you. Qin Feiyang chuckled and kissed Mermaid Princess on her face when she wasn't paying attention. The Mermaid Princess froze. She quickly looked around and said angrily, "Can you be more serious? What if someone sees us? So what if they see us? I say, wifey, you have to change your mindset. Now that we're married, what's there to be afraid of?" Qin Feiyang said. Mermaid Princess was stunned and said, "That's true, but I feel that it would be a little embarrassing if someone sees us." "Get used to it." Qin Feiyang grinned and kissed Mermaid Princess on her face again before leaving the Black Tortoise world with Luo Tianshan. Outside. Although it was already night in the Black Tortoise world, only an instant had passed outside. After all, one day was 1,000 years. The fluctuations of the battle from before were still surging above the sea. Huge waves were surging below. In those huge waves, one could faintly see sea beasts staring at Qin Feiyang, their fierce eyes filled with fear. Chapter 2998. You stay here and wait for the people from the Blood Hall. Qin Feiyang glanced at the sea beasts in the sea and said to Luo Tianshan next to him. Yes. Luo Tianshan nodded, his eyes were empty. Whoosh. Then. Qin Feiyang turned around and left alone, quickly disappearing into the eastern sea. Soon. More than a dozen figures broke through the air. They were all middle-aged men and women, coming from different directions. Without exception, their cultivation had all reached the perfection undead stage. This was a rather terrifying lineup. More than a dozen perfection undead stage cultivators, everyone in the ancient world didn't even dare to think about it. In the entire ancient world, there was only Long Zun. Even the 4 guardians of the ancient world were only at the perfection undead stage. Who are you? Did you see these 2 people? More than a dozen people landed around Luo Tianshan. One of the old women waved her hand and condensed the 2 figures of the burly man. Because here, they caught the aura left behind by the burly man and the burly man. Moreover, they were also attracted by the fluctuations. But in the face of these people's questions, Luo Tianshan's face was dull and his eyes were empty, as if he didn't hear them. "We're asking you a question," the old woman shouted. But Luo Tianshan was still the same. "What's going on? Looking at his appearance, it seems that something is wrong." The others looked at the dull Luo Tianshan and couldn't help but frown. At the same time, in the sky millions of miles away, a figure was moving as fast as lightning. It was Qin Feiyang. Suddenly, he stopped in the void with a trace of playfulness in his eyes. Then, he closed his eyes. "You're courting death." Seeing that Luo Tianshan was still silent, as if he didn't see them, the old woman couldn't help but be furious. But at this moment, Luo Tianshan's empty eyes suddenly looked at the old woman and the others and asked, "You're from the Blood Hall?" "That's right." The old woman nodded. "I've been waiting for you." Luo Tianshan suddenly smiled. This smile was very strange. In the eyes of the old woman and the others, they couldn't help but feel scared. "Do you know who I am?" Luo Tianshan spoke again. "Who?" The group of people frowned. Luo Tianshan said, "I am the person you are looking for, Qin Feiyang." "What? Are you Qin Feiyang?" Everyone was stunned. "To be exact, this is one of my puppets. I am communicating with you through my puppet. This puppet is also a gift from me to the 2 of you. As for your 2 companions, don't bother looking for them because they are already dead. I hope you'll like this gift." The strange smile on Luo Tianshan's face grew wider. Following closely. With a loud bang, Luo Tian Mountain exploded in the sky above the sea. The destructive shockwave instantly drowned the old woman and the others. "Bastard!" The group of people was furious. They all unleashed their auras and ran out in a sorry state. Luo Tianshan was only at the small success undead realm, while they were all at the great perfection undead realm. Therefore, even if Luo Tianshan self-destructed, it would not pose a fatal threat to them. However, this kind of naked provocation made them very angry. Especially when it was a provocation from a lower realm. Where is this little bastard hiding? The group of people scanned the surrounding sea with a gloomy face. They had been tricked by the other party in their first fight. As a great perfection undead realm expert, their self-esteem absolutely could not tolerate this kind of thing. The old woman turned her head to look at her companions and asked, "Which direction did you all come from?" "I came from the northwest direction." "I came from the southwest direction." More than a dozen people spoke one after another. They came from different directions, but none of them came from the east. If he ran in another direction, he would have definitely met us. But now, we haven't seen him, so there is only one possibility. He went in the direction of the eastern continent. The old woman said in a deep voice. The group of people frowned. Isn't this his first time in the sky cloud boundary? Why would he go straight to the eastern continent? A middle-aged man said. Don't forget, before we set off, Old Hai said that Old Man Hua from the eastern continent went to intercept them. I think this should have something to do with Old Man Hua. The old woman said. So, he is now with Old Man Hua? The middle-aged man was surprised. Impossible. If he is really with Old Man Hua, then he should have entered the eastern continent long ago. But now, he is still wandering in the sky cloud ocean. Moreover, the spies we planted in the Demon Palace are now watching the higher-ups of the Demon Palace. It is said that Old Man Hua has returned to the Demon Palace, and he went back alone. The old woman said. So, this person is indeed alone in the sky cloud ocean now? But how did he kill Zhang Lu and the others alone? You know, both of them are in the great perfection undead realm. And this Qin Feiyang, according to the palace master, seems to be in the half-step undead realm? Is the palace master hiding something from us? The middle-aged man looked at the old woman suspiciously. Presumptuous. Is this something you can speculate? If the palace master knows, you won't even know how you died. The old woman immediately angrily rebuked. The middle-aged man's pupils shrank, and he said with an embarrassed smile, there are only a few of us here. I will pay attention next time. You'd better pay attention. The old woman glared at him, and then looked at the others, saying, even if the palace master is hiding something from us, we can't question him. What we have to do is to obey his orders. Yes. Everyone nodded. The old woman continued, although I don't know what this Qin Feiyang is capable of, he must have something to rely on since he can kill Zhang Lu and the others and provoke us. So, we must be careful. Hearing this, everyone nodded again. The old woman raised her head and looked to the east. Although her face looked calm, her heart was beating fast. He could kill two great perfection undead realm experts. What kind of means does he have? After pondering for a while, the old woman suddenly looked at the sea below. The fluctuations of the battle were so great that the sea beasts below must have noticed it. Maybe they saw Qin Feiyang with their own eyes. The old woman looked at her two companions and said, you two go down and catch a sea beast. Okay. The two nodded and then rushed into the sea. Roar. After a while, accompanied by a deafening beast roar, a seal was forcibly brought out by the two. What are you doing? This is the heavenly cloud sea. Even if you are from the blood hall, you can't be presumptuous. The seal roared. But the blood hall is not afraid of the heavenly cloud sea. Tell me immediately. How did Qin Feiyang kill Zhang Lu and the others? The old woman shouted. I can't say. The seal shook its head. You can't say? The old woman raised her eyebrows. Yes. Not long ago, all the sea beasts in the heavenly cloud sea heard the beast god's order. The seal said. The old woman and the others looked at each other. The beast god's order? The middle-aged man next to them asked, what order? No one can leak the matter about Qin Feiyang, so you'd better not do anything to us. The seal sneered. I don't believe that the beast god will help a human from the lower world. You won't say it, right? I'll force you to say it. The middle-aged man stepped forward and pointed at the seal's forehead. A deadly sense of danger swept across the place. The seal trembled and roared, I really can't say it. Then you can go to hell. The middle-aged man sneered. However, at this moment, a divine light fell from the sky, carrying an apocalyptic aura, blasted toward the middle-aged man. The group of people suddenly changed color. Especially the middle-aged man, his face was full of fear. This is the beast god's punishment. Lord Beast God, I didn't do it on purpose. Please have mercy on me. The middle-aged man immediately knelt in the void and roared. However, that divine light showed no signs of stopping. Beast God, the middle-aged man roared in despair. Boom! With a loud bang, the divine light arrived. The middle-aged man was destroyed on the spot. Seeing this, the seal immediately turned around and fled into the sea, disappearing. The old woman and the others also looked at the place where the middle-aged man disappeared with fear. That's right. He just disappeared. Not a trace was left, as if he disappeared from the world. This is the beast god that rules the heavenly cloud sea. Everything in the heavenly cloud sea is under its control. With the death of the middle-aged man, the old woman and the others no longer dared to have any ideas about the sea beasts in the heavenly cloud sea. Because this is an action that will cause them to lose their lives. Similarly, this also means that the beast god is deliberately protecting Qin Feiyang. The beast god is protecting Qin Feiyang? What a shocking thing this was. The group of people could no longer remain calm and didn't even dare to continue chasing. What should we do? The group of people looked at the old woman, at a loss. How would I know? The old woman angrily said. This is already beyond the scope of her ability. After pondering for a moment, the old woman suddenly took out a pebble-like crystal. This crystal is diamond-shaped, crystal clear, like an exquisite piece of art. As the old woman's divine power poured in, the crystal began to shine. Not long after, a shadow appeared. If Qin Feiyang was here, he would definitely be surprised. Because the function of this crystal is the same as the image crystal, but it is not the image crystal that he is familiar with. The shadow that appeared is a black-clothed young man. He is about 1.8 meters tall, and his hair is as black as ink. Although he looks young, there is an unconcealable vicissitude between his eyebrows. And his expression is very cold. Greetings, Grand Deacon. The old woman bowed. The middle-aged man and the others looked at the black-clothed young man with respect. The black-clothed young man nodded and asked, "What's the matter?" Even his voice is full of indifference, as if he is an emotionless person. The old woman respectfully said, reporting to Grand Deacon, "We have found Qin Feiyang's whereabouts." "Where is he?" The black-clothed young man's eyes suddenly flashed with cold light. The old woman said, "According to our analysis, he should be on the way to the eastern continent." "Going to the eastern continent?" The black-clothed young man was stunned and frowned. "Didn't our people search from the eastern continent?" "Yes. But they have died in the hands of Qin Feiyang." The old woman said truthfully. Chapter 2999. What? The black-robed young man's cold face suddenly showed a trace of shock. He knew very well that the people he sent this time were all at the peak imperishable realm. Wasn't a peak imperishable realm cultivator more than enough to deal with Qin Feiyang? How could it be that their people had been killed by Qin Feiyang? The old woman hesitated for a moment and said respectfully, Grand Deacon, there's something I don't know if I should say. Say it. The Grand Deacon said, seemingly very annoyed. The old woman said carefully, we suspect that the temple master is hiding something from us. How dare you? Do you know what you're saying? The black-robed young man was furious. Please forgive me, Grand Deacon. The old woman trembled and hurriedly knelt in the air. The black-robed young man looked at her coldly and said after a long time, don't say such things again. Chase after him immediately and report to me when you find him. But, the old woman was terrified. Any other questions? The black-robed young man frowned. Earlier, we found a seal nearby and tried to get some information from it. But guess what? It actually said that the beast god ordered that no sea beast is allowed to leak information about Qin Feiyang. The old woman said. What? The beast god ordered? The black-robed young man was stunned. Yes. This is absolutely true. And just now, one of our companions tried to force the seal to speak, but he was punished by the beast god when he was about to attack. The old woman said in a deep voice. The beast god's punishment. The black-robed young man's eyes trembled. The beast god rarely acts, but this time, he actually helped Qin Feiyang kill our people. What does this mean? This means that Qin Feiyang and the beast god must have some kind of unknown relationship. The old woman said. The black-robed young man recovered after a long time and asked, Are you sure? Yes. The old woman nodded. Then it seems that there's something fishy going on. The black-robed young man pondered for a while and said to the old woman, How about this? Chase after him first, but don't attack. Wait for my orders. Yes. The old woman respectfully replied. Then, the black-clothed young man's shadow dissipated. The old woman wiped away the cold sweat on her forehead and looked at the middle-aged man and the others. She sighed and said, Look, even the great deacon is so serious after hearing about this. We can't be careless. Yes. The middle-aged man and the others nodded. In the heavenly cloud sea, the beast god is the heavens. Whoever dared to challenge the beast god's dignity would only have death waiting for them. On a certain island. A black-clothed youth stood on top of a mountain peak, looking at the sea in front of him. There was a trace of doubt in his cold eyes. In his hand, there was also a crystal that looked exactly the same. This person was the Grand Deacon who had spoken to the old woman earlier. Sigh. Things are getting serious. Suddenly. The black-clothed young man sighed and recovered the crystal in his hand. Wang. Soon. A shadow appeared. It was an old man in blood-red clothes. His entire body was like a blood demon, emitting a terrifying murderous aura. Greetings, Hall Master. The black-clothed youth bowed. Have you found the whereabouts of Qin Feiyang? The old man asked. Yes. The black-clothed youth nodded. The old man in blood-red clothes immediately perked up and said, Where is he? He's on his way to the eastern continent. The black-clothed youth answered truthfully. The eastern continent? The old man in blood-red clothes raised his eyebrows when he heard this. Yes. The black-clothed youth nodded and said, There's one more thing. The beast god's punishment has appeared. What? The old man in blood-red clothes was sitting on a chair. Hearing this, he suddenly stood up. The black-clothed youth briefly explained the situation that the old woman had reported to him. That bastard really likes to meddle in other people's business. The old man in blood-red clothes was furious when he heard this. It's not a big deal if it's just meddling in other people's business. I'm just afraid that it has some kind of relationship with Qin Feiyang. If that's the case, our actions will definitely be affected. The black-clothed youth was a little worried. The old man in blood-red clothes' face suddenly became gloomy. And, the black-clothed youth hesitated and looked at the old man in blood-red clothes. "Hall Master, are you hiding something from us? What are you hiding?" The old man in blood-red clothes looked at the youth expressionlessly. "I'm hiding Qin Feiyang's strength," the black-clothed youth said. The old man in blood-red clothes immediately raised his eyebrows. The black-clothed youth sighed deeply. "Hall Master, although it's a little disrespectful to you, I still want to say that we can't treat our subordinates as cannon fodder." "How dare you?" The old man in blood-red clothes immediately glared at the youth. "Please forgive me, Hall Master." The black-clothed youth lowered his head, but he didn't look very scared. "Alas!" The old man in blood-red clothes looked at the black-clothed youth and sighed after a long time. "I did hide Qin Feiyang's strength from you." The black-clothed youth was shocked and said respectfully, "I'd like to hear the details." Although he's only at the half-step eternal realm, his means are extraordinarily strong. The most frightening thing is that he has no less than 10 heaven-defying divine weapons. The old man in blood-red clothes said. "Heaven-defying divine weapons?" The black-clothed youth was a little stunned. No wonder he could kill Zhang Lu and the others. Although a peak eternal realm expert was strong, he was still far from being able to face a heaven-defying divine weapon. Moreover, his heaven-defying divine weapons have already broken the limit of heaven-defying divine weapons. The old man in blood-red clothes sighed and looked a little helpless. Broken the limit of heaven-defying divine weapons? The black-clothed youth was stunned. Yes. Although they haven't reached the level of a sovereign weapon, their power has already far surpassed that level. I think that even a half-step sovereign weapon can be instantly killed by these heaven-defying divine weapons. The old man in blood-red clothes said. The black-clothed youth was stunned. The old man in blood-red clothes continued, in addition, he has an even more frightening divine weapon. An even more frightening divine weapon? The black-clothed youth was shocked. Even more frightening than a heaven-defying divine weapon? He said in surprise, "Is it a sovereign weapon?" "Yes." The old man in blood-red clothes nodded. "How is that possible?" The black-clothed youth's eyes trembled. Even the sky cloud realm didn't have many sovereign weapons, but Qin Feiyang, a person from the lower realm, had such a divine weapon? Otherwise, why do you think Old Hai and the others brought our sovereign weapons to the lower realm? This boy can't be underestimated. However, this kid must be captured. The old man in blood-red clothes said. Why? To be honest, we have no enmity with him. There's no need to go against him. The black-clothed youth frowned. Of course there's no need. But I have no choice. I must take action against him. The old man in blood-red clothes said. No choice? The black-clothed youth's frown deepened. How could the Blood Hall Master, who stood at the top of the pyramid in the sky cloud realm, have no choice? Don't ask too much. I'll send the sovereign weapon to help you now. If necessary, don't leave him alive. Just kill him. The old man in blood-red clothes said in a deep voice. The beast god of the sky cloud realm? The black-clothed youth asked hesitantly. If it really wanted to protect Qin Feiyang, it wouldn't have just killed one of our subordinates. It would have issued a warning to the Blood Hall. But now, it hasn't. This means that even if it has something to do with Qin Feiyang, it's not that deep. In its eyes, it might just be a fun game. So, we can't be too worried. But just in case, I'll pay attention to it. In short, just don't hurt the sea beasts in the sky cloud realm. The old man said. Okay. The Grand Deacon nodded. Back to Qin Feiyang. After Luo Tianshan's self-destruction, he activated the Xing character art and continued to rush toward the eastern continent. He didn't know about the Grand Deacon, the old man, or the beast god's punishment. He didn't care. Now, he just wanted to reach the eastern continent as soon as possible. According to Luo Tianshan's memory, although the Blood Hall's power was terrifying and even spread across the entire Sky Cloud realm, in the face of the equally powerful Demon Hall, they didn't dare to blatantly attack the eastern continent. So, as long as he entered the eastern continent, he could temporarily avoid the Blood Hall's pursuit. And there was still at least half a month's journey from here to the eastern continent. If he could use something like a portal, it would be very fast. But in the Sky Cloud realm, it was impossible to open a portal or a teleportation altar. Here, he could only hurry. Wait! Suddenly, Qin Feiyang patted his head. How could he forget about the spacetime gate? After reading Luo Tianshan's memory, he also knew that there were many places in the eastern continent that could be directly teleported there. Sometimes, humans were really muddle-headed. Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed. He quickly took out the spacetime gate and thought for a moment before reviving it. However, just as the spacetime gate was about to revive, an invisible force appeared and forcibly cut off the revival of the spacetime gate. Who is it? Qin Feiyang was shocked. He looked up at the sky but found that there was no one at all. But there must be someone secretly playing tricks. And this person's strength was definitely not weak. After all, he could forcibly cut off the revival of the spacetime gate. After a while, no one appeared. Qin Feiyang opened the spacetime gate again. As long as the spacetime gate wasn't successfully opened, it didn't count. Clang! With a loud sound, the spacetime gate was revived again. But just as it was about to open, the invisible force once again descended from the sky and cut off the revival of the spacetime gate. Who the hell is it? Hiding in the dark and playing tricks, is it interesting? Qin Feiyang was seething with anger. This clearly showed that they didn't want him to leave the heavenly cloud sea. Could it be someone from the Blood Hall? But it couldn't be. If it was really someone from the Blood Hall, they would definitely attack him immediately. How could they do such a boring thing? After pondering for a while, Qin Feiyang stepped on the walk-word technique and broke through the sky like lightning. About half an hour passed. He entered the sky above an island. The sea beasts on the island were rampant, but they seemed to be full of fear of Qin Feiyang. None of them ran out to block his way. Looking at this abnormal phenomenon, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but frown. Could it be that the news of him killing the two people from the Blood Hall had already spread among the sea beasts in the heavenly cloud sea? If this was the case, then the speed of the spread was too fast. However, Qin Feiyang didn't think much about it. It was more important to leave the heavenly cloud sea first. He once again revived the spacetime gate. Chapter 3000. Just like before, the spacetime gate recovered smoothly. This meant that the spacetime gate could be opened in the heavenly cloud sea. But suddenly, the mysterious power descended once again. Bastard! Qin Feiyang was furious. Not attacking him, not coming out to see him, just cutting off the spacetime gate's recovery. What did this person want to do? However, no matter how Qin Feiyang scolded, the person in the dark did not appear. The sea here, except for the sound of the waves, was dead silent. After a while, Qin Feiyang had no choice but to put away the spacetime gate. Don't want him to open the spacetime gate and leave the heavenly cloud sea? Fine, then fly to the eastern continent. He used the walk-word technique, left the island, and flew towards the east, but always secretly paid attention to the sky. Not long after Qin Feiyang left, more than a dozen figures followed. It was the old woman and the others. His speed is too fast outside. The group of people frowned. At first, they thought that with their cultivation of the great perfection undead stage, they could easily catch up with Qin Feiyang. But after chasing for a while, they found that this was not the case. The other party's speed was beyond their imagination. So, they could only use the supreme auxiliary divine art. For supreme experts at their level, support-type divine arts weren't rare at all. In this way, they could catch up with Qin Feiyang. After all, their cultivations were 5 levels higher than Qin Feiyang's. Adding on the fact that they had utmost exalted level supplementary deity techniques, even if Qin Feiyang had the attainment character art, it was impossible for him to be faster than them. However, they did not dare to get too close, and had been following from a distance. Buzz! Suddenly, a buzzing sound rang out. The old woman stopped, looked at her companions, and said, "It should be the Grand Deacon, you guys go catch up first." "Okay." The middle-aged man and the others nodded and quickly left. The old woman took out the crystal, and a shadow quickly appeared. It was the Grand Deacon. "Tell me your current coordinates." In less than 3 breaths. Clang! A golden door appeared in the void in front of the old woman. Following, a figure strode out. "Greetings, Grand Deacon." The old woman bowed. The Grand Deacon nodded slightly. He looked around and asked, "Where is he?" The old woman said, "In front. Our people have been following him." "Very good." The Great Deacon nodded. He raised his head and looked to the east. A cold light appeared on his cold face. "Are you going to do it yourself?" the old woman asked in a low voice. "The other party is Qin Feiyang. If I don't do it myself, none of you will be able to catch him." The Grand Deacon took a step forward and landed tens of thousands of miles away. The old woman quickly activated her auxiliary divine art and chased after him, saying, "Although he has a heaven-defying divine artifact, you don't have to do it yourself. Not only does he have a heaven-defying divine weapon, he even has a sovereign weapon." The black-clothed youth shook his head and sighed. "What a troublesome little fellow." "What? Sovereign weapon?" The old woman was stunned. How was this possible? She looked at the black-clothed youth and asked, "Are you sure you're not mistaken?" The black-clothed youth didn't answer. This was because he had already seen the middle-aged man and the group of people in front of him, as well as Qin Feiyang. However, Qin Feiyang didn't notice the black-clothed youth. It wasn't that he was careless. These people were too far away and had concealed their auras. Although the black-clothed youth and the others could see him clearly, he couldn't see them. Due to the huge gap in cultivation, his eyesight couldn't compare to theirs. The higher one's cultivation, the better one's eyesight and the further one could see. However, although he didn't notice the black-clothed youth and the others, he was still vigilant. Needless to say, the Blood Hall wouldn't let him enter the eastern continent easily. A battle could break out at any time. Therefore, he had to be prepared to fight at any time. Grand Deacon. When the black-clothed youth and the old woman landed in front of the middle-aged man and the others, the group of people quickly bowed. "You can leave now." The Grand Deacon put his hands behind his back and said without turning his head. "Leave?" The group of people was stunned. "Just leave when I tell you to. Why are you so long-winded?" The old woman turned around and looked at the group of people. Then, she took the lead and left. The middle-aged man and the others were stunned for a moment before they quickly chased after the old woman. "What's going on?" the middle-aged man asked in a low voice. "The Grand Deacon is doing this for our own good. He's afraid that we'll be implicated because he wants to take action personally." The old woman said. "Take action personally?" With the Grand Deacon's strength, wouldn't he be able to capture Qin Feiyang alive in minutes? The group of people laughed. "Not necessarily." The old woman's gaze was heavy. "What's wrong?" The group of people looked at her in a daze. The old woman said, I heard from the Grand Deacon that Qin Feiyang has a sovereign divine weapon. A sovereign divine weapon. The group of people was shocked. Boom! Right at this moment, the Grand Deacon, who was standing above the sea in front, released his aura. The sea suddenly boiled. Huge waves of thousands of feet high covered the sky and the earth. The void and the sky were trembling and collapsing. Qin Feiyang, who was hurrying ahead, immediately stopped in the void and turned his head to look. This aura, looking at the collapsing void and sky, Qin Feiyang's expression was full of shock. After reading Luo Tianshan's memory, he knew that the space of Heavenly Cloud Mountain was more stable than other places. For example, the void. In the ancient world, an imperishable realm expert could shatter the void as if it was a joke. However, in the sky cloud realm, only a heaven-defying divine weapon and a terrifying existence in the sovereign realm could shatter the void. In other words, if someone could shatter the void in the sky cloud realm, then there was no doubt that it must be a sovereign realm existence. In other words, at this moment, a sovereign realm expert was standing in front of him. However, the distance was too far and he couldn't see it. However, this aura was very unfamiliar. It wasn't the blood-red clothed old man or Elder Hua. However, he was sure that the owner of this aura was definitely from the Blood Hall. Because, if it wasn't someone from the Blood Hall, there was no need to release such a terrifying aura. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang's pupils contracted. He saw a black figure stepping on the shattered void and walking over step by step. I don't care who you are. It's best to leave now. Qin Feiyang muttered. He immediately turned around and used the walk formula to escape into the sky. You still want to leave? Seeing this, the black-clothed young man was stunned. Following closely, he took a step forward and crossed the void, instantly landing in front of Qin Feiyang. So fast? Qin Feiyang hurriedly braked and stopped in the void, staring at the back of the black-clothed young man with a face full of shock. What was this person's cultivation? The black-clothed young man slowly turned around and faced Qin Feiyang, his face as cold as ever. Blood Hall? Qin Feiyang frowned. Blood Hall's Grand Deacon. The black-clothed young man nodded. Grand Deacon? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Was his position very high? As if seeing through the doubts in Qin Feiyang's heart, the black-clothed young man said expressionlessly, second only to the two hall masters. Qin Feiyang was shocked. Second only to the hall masters, that was also an existence that stood at the peak of the sky cloud realm. Wait. Two hall masters? Qin Feiyang looked at the black-clothed young man suspiciously. Your blood hall has two hall masters? Yes. You should have seen them both. The Grand Deacon nodded. Seen them? Qin Feiyang frowned. He had seen the blood-clothed old man, but who was the other one? Wait. In his mind, an old man with an immortal aura appeared. Qin Feiyang asked, the other one is Old Hai? Yes. The Grand Deacon replied. I didn't expect him to be the hall master of the Blood Hall. Qin Feiyang muttered. Correction, Old Hai, Deputy Hall Master. The Grand Deacon said. Deputy Hall Master, Qin Feiyang murmured and wondered, what about the purple-clothed young man who followed Old Hai to the lower realm? Even Old Hai has to listen to him, his position should be higher. Of course. He is the grandson of the Hall Master. The Grand Deacon said. I see. The two Hall Masters, the grandson of the Hall Master, and you, the Grand Deacon, came to find me personally. I have to say, your Blood Hall really thinks highly of me. Qin Feiyang sneered. The black-clothed young man said, so you should take the initiative to follow me to the Blood Hall. To die? Qin Feiyang laughed. The black-clothed young man shook his head and said, I don't know whether I will die or not, but I know that you must come with me today. What if I say no? Qin Feiyang's eyes darkened. Then I can only bring your corpse back to report. Boom! As the black-clothed young man's voice fell, a monstrous pressure rushed toward Qin Feiyang. Bring my corpse back? Even old Hai can't do it, let alone you. Qin Feiyang shouted. With a clang, the golden scale sword appeared out of thin air. The dragon-slaying sword was far from enough to deal with this black-clothed young man, so he directly summoned the golden scale sword. The golden scale sword had cultivated in the land of origin for many years, and its strength was comparable to a low-stage dominator. Perhaps, he would be able to put up a fight. That's right. He didn't have much confidence in the golden scale sword. After all, this person was the third strongest person in the Blood Hall. As expected, it has broken the boundary of a heaven-defying divine artifact. Looking at the golden scale sword, the black-clothed young man muttered expressionlessly and took a step forward. Clang! The golden scale sword also knew that this was a strong enemy, so it instantly recovered and slashed without holding back. Even so, the black-clothed young man's expression didn't change. Even Qin Feiyang could faintly catch a trace of disdain in his eyes. In an instant, the golden scale sword and the black-clothed young man clashed. The black-clothed young man raised his arm and stretched out his index finger, and a trace of divine power appeared on his fingertip. Immediately after, under Qin Feiyang's shocked gaze, the black-clothed young man actually used his fingertip to meet the golden scale sword. Clang! The two instantly met. The golden scale sword's blade flashed coldly, but it was directly blocked by the black-clothed young man's fingertip. That's right. The black-clothed young man only used one finger to block the golden scale sword's full-strength attack. What was more terrifying was the fingertip that collided with the golden scale sword didn't have a single wound. So strong, Qin Feiyang muttered, and his heart was in turmoil. He originally thought that even if the golden scale sword couldn't win, it should be able to contend with him. But now, what appeared in front of him was a huge gap. He felt that the golden scale sword was as weak as a newborn baby in front of the black-clothed young man. Chapter 3001. Compared to the shocked Qin Feiyang, the black-clothed youth was very calm. Beyond the boundary of a heaven-defying divine artifact, it doesn't seem like much. The black-clothed youth whispered and flicked his finger. With a loud clang, the golden scale sword shattered on the spot. What? Qin Feiyang was extremely shocked and quickly sent the golden scale sword to the black tortoise world. Otherwise, the golden scale sword would definitely be destroyed in the black-clothed youth's hands. Do you understand my strength now? The black-clothed youth looked at Qin Feiyang indifferently. Qin Feiyang remained silent. Come with me, lest I have to act. Don't think that you'll be as lucky as you were in the space-time tunnel. No one will come to help you now. The black-clothed youth said expressionlessly. In other words, there would be no one like Elder Hua to help him this time. Qin Feiyang remained silent. It seems that I really have to act. The black-clothed youth shook his head and took a step forward. He landed in front of Qin Feiyang and raised his arm. His 5 fingers were like an eagle's claw as he grabbed at Qin Feiyang's arm. Swish! Qin Feiyang immediately activated the Xing character art. Boom! However, the black-clothed youth seemed to have expected it. A terrifying pressure surged and Qin Feiyang was immediately imprisoned in the void. What a strong pressure! Qin Feiyang's heart trembled. Was this the strength of the third strongest person in the Blood Hall? It seemed that other than the ancient castle, he wasn't a match for this level of expert at all. No. Calling him an opponent was too flattering. He wasn't even qualified to be this person's opponent. Sky Cloud Realm, this was a place that made people feel awe. However, wasn't this situation the same as when he first entered the ancient world? Thinking back, when he first entered the ancient world, he was also an insignificant person. Any one of the ferocious beasts was enough to tear him apart. But in the end, under his efforts, didn't he also step onto the peak of the ancient world? Now that he was in the sky cloud realm, although this place was more terrifying than the ancient world, as long as he was given time, he had the confidence to step onto the peak of the sky cloud realm. Clang! Accompanied by a deafening boom, the ancient castle took the initiative to appear. The palm-sized ancient castle blasted toward the black-robed youth with the power to destroy the world. Generally speaking, no one would be able to dodge such a sudden attack. However, the black-clothed youth seemed to have expected this. The moment the ancient castle appeared, he immediately retreated. At the same time, a horsetail whisk appeared. The horsetail whisk exuded a monstrous divine might as it collided with the ancient castle. Rumble. When the two sovereign divine weapons clashed, the void instantly collapsed. A terrifying aura swept out in all directions. Fortunately, the sea beasts in this area had fled the moment the two of them started fighting. Otherwise, there would be millions of corpses lying on the ground. It really is a sovereign weapon. Who the hell is this guy? In the distance. When the old woman and the others saw this scene, their faces were filled with shock. He had thought that the great deacon was joking. After all, this person came from the lower realm. In their opinion, the people of the lower realms had never even heard of a sovereign weapon, let alone possessed one. However, they didn't expect it to be true. They were facing someone who had a dominator weapon. When they recalled their initial disdain for this person, they couldn't help but feel a lingering fear. Fortunately, they didn't act rashly. Otherwise, they wouldn't even know how they died. After the two sovereign divine weapons clashed, they quickly returned to Qin Feiyang and the black-clothed youth. You know that. Even if you have a sovereign divine weapon, you are still no match for me. The black-clothed youth looked at Qin Feiyang and said. Qin Feiyang didn't deny it. This was because the horsetail whisk was enough to restrain the ancient castle. Once the ancient castle was restrained, the black-clothed youth would be able to kill him. Sovereign realm experts were all people who had completely comprehended a type of law. They had heaven-defying means. Therefore, you should know your place. Don't put up a pointless struggle. The black-clothed youth's eyes were like a pool of stagnant water. It was as if nothing could move him. Whoosh! As soon as the black-clothed youth finished speaking, the ancient castle released a wisp of divine might. It wrapped around Qin Feiyang and flew away. It also knew that it wouldn't do any good to Qin Feiyang if they continued to fight. It was the wisest choice to temporarily avoid the sharp edge. This sudden action caused the black-clothed youth to be involuntarily stunned. Although he didn't know Qin Feiyang well, judging from Qin Feiyang's provocation of the Blood Hall and his unscrupulous killing of the Blood Hall's members, he should be a lawless and fearless person. But now, he actually chose to escape. There was an exception. However, on the other hand, this person wasn't a reckless and impulsive young man. Having good talent and powerful means wasn't scary. The scary thing was that he could endure. A person who knew how to endure and had extraordinary talent and means would definitely become a strong enemy in the future. Chase! The black-clothed youth ordered decisively. Hearing this, the horsetail whisk immediately wrapped around the black-clothed youth and chased after Qin Feiyang and the ancient castle. Moreover, the black-clothed youth took out the crystal. Qin Feiyang had been paying attention to the black-clothed youth. Seeing this person take out the crystal, his pupils suddenly shrank. He seemed to be a little nervous. After reading Luo Tianshan's memory, he also knew what this was. This thing was called the Divine Sound Stone, which was used to send messages in the sky cloud realm. Its function was the same as the image crystal. However, compared to the image crystal, the divine sound stone was more advanced. Because the divine sound stone would show the other party's name when sending a message. In other words, after two people established a contract, their names would be left in the divine sound stone. When sending a message to the other party, their names would appear in the divine sound stone. At that time, as long as you release your divine sense and integrate it with the divine sound stone, you would know who was sending you a message. And this was something that the image crystal couldn't do. When the image crystal was sending a message, you wouldn't know who the other party was before seeing the other party's shadow. This was a big difference. In addition, the divine sound stone had another function, and it was very practical. This function was to know whether others were alive or dead through the divine sound stone. For example, Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess both had the divine sound stone and had established a contract with each other. If one party had an accident and unfortunately died, the contract left in the divine sound stone would automatically dissipate. At that time, when they sent a message to the other party, they wouldn't be able to find the other party's contract. Through this point, they could distinguish whether the other party was alive or dead. And now, the reason why Qin Feiyang was nervous was that the black-clothed youth was most likely calling for reinforcements. Because the horsetail whisk and the castle were both sovereign divine weapons, their speed was comparable. So relying on the horsetail whisk alone, it was impossible to catch up with them. And the black-clothed youth certainly wouldn't watch him escape into the eastern continent, so the best way was to call for someone to intercept him. The black-clothed youth was so powerful, so the person who called for reinforcements was certainly not a small character. Even he was worried. The black-clothed youth called for a person who mastered the law of space and time. Because people who mastered the law of space and time could travel through space at will. For example, Old Hai. If this person came, no matter how he escaped, he wouldn't be able to escape. However, half a month ago, Old Hai's physical body was destroyed, and he probably hadn't recovered yet. After all, even an imperishable realm expert needed tens of thousands of years to reconstruct his physical body in divine soul, let alone a sovereign realm expert. And this Old Hai wasn't just a half-step sovereign realm expert. He might not be able to recover even after hundreds of thousands of years. Thinking of this, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but feel relieved. As long as Old Hai didn't come, it would be fine. Buzz. At this moment, a shadow appeared in front of the black-clothed youth. Qin Feiyang's heart, which had just been hanging in the air, suddenly rose again. Because this shadow was the Blood Hall's Hall Master, the blood-clothed old man. How is it? The blood-clothed old man asked. He's right in front. The black-clothed youth spoke and turned the divine sound stone. The blood-clothed old man immediately saw Qin Feiyang in front of him. I thought he was very powerful, but it turns out that he can only run away. The blood-clothed old man snorted. The black-clothed youth said, but the problem now is that I can't catch up with him. Don't worry. I've already expected this. Old Hai will come to help you soon. The blood-clothed old man said. Okay. The black-clothed youth nodded and then said, there are also people from the Demon Hall. You have to be careful of them. The Demon Hall, the blood-clothed old man murmured, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. He said, don't worry, I won't give them a chance to interfere. After saying this, the blood-clothed old man's shadow disappeared. Looking at Qin Feiyang again. At this moment, his face was full of disbelief. Was the person they were talking about really Old Hai? Wasn't Old Hai's physical body destroyed? Why did they ask him to come and help? Could it be, he had already rebuilt his physical body and divine soul? But it had only been half a month. How could it be so fast? At the same time, Eastern Continent. In a huge mountain, there was an ancient palace standing on top of a mountain. In the palace, There were two figures sitting opposite each other. One of them was Elder Hua. The person sitting opposite of Elder Hua was a woman in a white dress. She looked to be in her 20s. Her appearance was exquisite and her figure was exquisite. Elder Hua drank his tea while looking at the woman. He smiled and said, "Xiao Yun, I have something to ask of you." The woman in the white dress was slightly stunned and immediately lost interest. She put down the teacup in her hand and said, "I knew you wouldn't call me here for anything good." Elder Hua smiled embarrassedly. The woman glared at Elder Hua and said, "Say it." "What is it?" Elder Hua said, "Go to the heavenly cloud sea and help me find someone." "Who is it?" The woman was suspicious. Elder Hua waved his hand and a shadow appeared in the void. This shadow was Qin Feiyang. However, the doubt in the woman's eyes was even stronger. She asked, "Who is he?" "An interesting little guy." Elder Hua smiled mysteriously. The woman said unhappily, "Why are you being so mysterious? Why don't you go yourself? Also, does the palace master know about this?" "Of course the palace master knows. It's actually the palace master's idea to let you go. As for me, I won't hide it from you. I can't go." Elder Hua shook his head. "You can't go?" When the woman heard this, she looked at Elder Hua with even more confusion. "Because this person is targeted by the Blood Hall and they are determined to get him. The Blood Hall's palace master might also think that we will interfere, so he should take action." Elder Hua smiled with a hoarse voice. There was a wisp of wisdom in his old eyes. Chapter 3002. Targeted by the Blood Hall? The lady in the white dress was stunned. She looked at Qin Feiyang's silhouette again with curiosity in her eyes. The Blood Hall was the king of the Western land. Someone targeted by the Blood Hall must be extraordinary. I'll tell you the details when I have time. Elder Hua took out a red sword that was 3 feet long and placed it on the table. He smiled and said, "Take it with you. It'll be useful at a critical moment. A sovereign divine weapon." The lady in the white dress narrowed her eyes. She looked at Elder Hua and said, "You care so much about him. It seems that his origin is not simple. He doesn't have any origin. He's just someone from the lower realm." Elder Hua smiled. "Someone from the lower realm?" The lady in the white dress frowned. "Don't ask. Because I don't know how to answer you." Elder Hua shook his head. "You mean, you don't know why the Blood Hall targeted him?" The lady in the white dress was suspicious. "Yes." Elder Hua nodded. "Then why are you helping him?" The lady in the white dress frowned. "Since he's targeted by the Blood Hall, we naturally have to intervene. Moreover, this lad is not simple. Because he has a sovereign divine weapon in his hands." Elder Hua's eyes sparkled as he said this. A sovereign divine weapon. The lady in the white dress was stunned. If this did not come from Elder Hua, she would not have believed it even if she was beaten to death. "Hurry up and go. When you go out, remember to hide it. Don't let anyone see you. After all, there are many spies from the Blood Hall here." Elder Hua smiled. "All right." The lady in the white dress stood up and put away the sovereign divine weapon. She turned around and took a step forward, disappearing without a trace. Qin Feiyang, Blood Hall. After Elder Hua watched the lady in the white dress leave, he sat alone in the main hall and pondered. After a dozen breaths. Boom! Suddenly, a terrifying aura descended on the main hall. Elder Hua raised his head and raised his eyebrows. Whoosh! In the next moment, he stood up and appeared in the air above the main hall. He saw a blood-red figure standing in front of him. That's right. This person was the Blood Hall Palace Master. Elder Hua's eyes darkened as he said angrily, "Old thing, you're getting bolder and bolder. How dare you come to my demon palace so brazenly? What is it? Not welcome?" The Blood Hall Master looked at Elder Hua. Elder Hua's eyes sparkled as he suddenly laughed out loud. "Welcome, welcome. Of course, you're welcome. Hypocrite." The Blood Hall Master snorted coldly and asked, "Where is your Hall Master?" "He went out." Elder Hua chuckled. The Hall Master of the Blood Hall was shocked and asked, "Where did she go?" "Why should I tell you? Our Devil Palace and your Blood Palace don't seem to be on such good terms." Elder Hua looked at him mockingly. The Blood Hall's Hall Master said indifferently, "I'm just curious as to what matter would require your esteemed Hall Master to personally take action. As for this matter, it's neither big nor small. I heard that recently, the Heavenly Cloud Sea has been very restless, so the Temple Master wants to go take a look." Elder Hua said with a smile. "She went to the Heavenly Cloud Sea?" The Blood Hall Master was shocked and hurriedly asked, "When did she go?" "A few days ago." "Why? Didn't the spies you placed here inform you?" Elder Hua looked at him suspiciously. "Damn it!" The Blood Hall Master cursed and was about to leave. But at this moment, a gentle voice came from the top of a giant mountain not far away. "Old Shui, since you're here, come and have a seat." The Blood Hall Master looked up and then glared at Elder Hua. "Didn't you say that your Hall Master went to the Heavenly Cloud Sea?" Cough cough. "I'm just kidding. Do you really believe me? But since you're so concerned about the Heavenly Cloud Sea, did something really happen there? Or is that young man called Qin Feiyang still in the Heavenly Cloud Sea?" Elder Hua's face was full of ridicule. "Humph." The Blood Hall Master snorted and said, "Let's go and have a seat. You're the one the Hall Master invited, not me. Why should I join in the fun?" Elder Hua shook his head. "But I want to invite you to have a seat. You won't refuse me, right?" The Blood Hall Master said. Do you think I won't give you face? But I'm really busy now, so I won't accompany you." Elder Hua said and was about to leave. But as soon as he took a step, the Blood Hall Master stepped in front of Elder Hua and said, "You don't have to be in such a hurry." "What do you mean?" Elder Hua raised his eyebrows. "It's rare for old friends to meet. Can't you put aside those trivial matters first?" The Blood Hall Master chuckled. Elder Hua's eyes flashed and he nodded. "Okay, I'll give you face and accompany you." "That's right." The Blood Hall Master smiled and stepped aside. He extended his hand and said, "Please." Elder Hua shook his head and walked toward the top of the mountain on the opposite side. The Blood Hall Master's eyes flashed as he followed Elder Hua. The Heavenly Cloud Sea. The chase continued. The distance between Qin Feiyang and the black-clothed youth did not change. But compared to the black-clothed youth who was indifferent and calm, Qin Feiyang was extremely uneasy. This uneasy factor was undoubtedly Elder Hai. Until now, he still remembered how Elder Hai kidnapped the mermaid princess when he was in the Great Qin Empire. At that time, this person directly activated the space-time law and entered the Black Tortoise realm. No one could stop him. So, once this person came, there would be many variables. Qin Feiyang looked at the ancient castle in front of him and asked, "Can we get rid of them?" The ancient castle did not respond. Qin Feiyang was helpless and was used to it. Boom! But before he finished speaking, a terrifying aura suddenly descended in front of him. Qin Feiyang looked up and his gaze suddenly trembled. It was Elder Hai. He was still the same as half a month ago. White hair and white beard, with a celestial aura. He has really reconstructed his physical body and divine soul. Qin Feiyang's eyes were filled with shock. "We meet again. Elder Hai opened his mouth and said, "But this time, there is no Elder Hua to help you." As his voice fell, Elder Hai waved his hand and a space-time crack appeared. Not good, he wants to go to the Black Tortoise realm again. Qin Feiyang's expression changed. Clang! The ancient castle shook violently and a wisp of time array fell, enveloping Qin Feiyang. Elder Hai's brows raised. This ancient castle actually cut off space-time teleportation. Thank you. Qin Feiyang was extremely grateful. But it was a little surprising that the ancient castle had such an ability. But why didn't the ancient castle do this back in the Great Qin Empire? After thinking for a while, Qin Feiyang revealed a look of understanding. Back in the Great Qin Empire, no one had seen Elder Hai, so no one knew that he had mastered the space-time law. Since they did not know, they naturally could not guard against it. This was the so-called element of surprise. Thinking of this, Qin Feiyang could not help but let out a long breath in his heart. As long as the ancient castle could cut off space-time teleportation, they would not have to worry about that person entering the Black Tortoise realm again. Moreover, against the current Elder Hai, they could still counterattack. Kill him directly, he doesn't have a sovereign divine weapon, he's not your opponent. Qin Feiyang looked at the ancient castle and said. Boom! The ancient castle's divine aura filled the sky as it charged towards Elder Hai. Naive! Seeing this, Elder Hai's lips curled into a mocking smile. Clang! In the next instant, a 3-foot-long sword appeared. Elder Hai grabbed it in his hand and slashed at the ancient castle. In an instant, the two divine weapons collided, and the ancient castle was actually blocked. How is this possible? Qin Feiyang was shocked and hurriedly looked at the long sword in Elder Hai's hand. When he saw the appearance of the long sword, his face was filled with disbelief. Wasn't this the Dragon God's sword? Boom! At the same time, the black-clothed youth behind charged over. The horsetail whisk exuded a destructive aura as it blasted towards Qin Feiyang. The ancient castle protected Qin Feiyang and once again faced the horsetail whisk. With two sovereign divine weapons in front and behind, it had no choice but to face them head-on. Boom! Clang! A soul-stirring and fierce battle unfolded. Qin Feiyang kept staring at the Dragon God sword. This sovereign divine weapon was not unfamiliar to him at all. It was the dragon's sovereign divine weapon. But now, why was it in Elder Hai's hands? Could it be as they guessed, that all of this was Ice Dragon's doing behind the scenes? This damned beast is really like a ghost that won't go away. Crack! Suddenly, an ear-piercing shattering sound rang out. Qin Feiyang looked at the ancient castle in horror and found that there was a crack on the ancient castle. Huh, Qin Feiyang, you didn't expect to fall into this sovereign's hands so quickly, right? The Dragon God's sword laughed loudly. You're just a loser, what's there to be arrogant about? Qin Feiyang's face sank. You're courting death. The Dragon God's sword was instantly enraged upon hearing this. The battle in the inland sea was a scar that could never be healed. It didn't want to recall that memory. Now that Qin Feiyang had mentioned it again, it was as good as mercilessly tearing open this scar. How could it not be enraged? Terrifying sword projections surged toward the ancient castle in a frenzy. The horsetail whisk was also unbelievably powerful. The ancient castle and Qin Feiyang were in imminent peril. Qin Feiyang roared in his mind, Pai Lupi, Theta Wang, prepare some fresh blood for me. Lord! The two of them were startled upon hearing Qin Feiyang's voice. Prepare some fresh blood? It looked like they had encountered another powerful enemy. They had to activate their slaughter zone. Hurry! Qin Feiyang's voice sounded again. Lord, don't be in such a hurry. Long before the battle with the dragons, Miss Fire Lotus told us that you would sooner or later encounter great trouble after entering the Sky Cloud realm. So, she told us to help collect blood whenever we had the time. We also obeyed and have been calling on the creatures of the Black Tortoise realm to collect blood. And after witnessing your battle with the dragons, everyone was more active than before and kept on donating blood. Now, the Western region's blood sea has accumulated a lot. Pai Lupi said. Qin Feiyang froze upon hearing this and immediately sank his consciousness into the Black Tortoise realm's western region. Sure enough. The blood sea that had almost been depleted was now about to be filled. Moreover, there were countless creatures lining up to donate blood around the blood sea. So the creatures of the Black Tortoise realm have been silently helping me all this time. And that girl Fire Lotus, she's really considerate. No matter what, Fire Lotus always considered him first. It was also because Fire Lotus was silently helping him that he could wander outside without any worries. It was hard to imagine what would happen if he left Fire Lotus. Perhaps he couldn't leave this girl now. Chapter 3003. Shua. In an instant, Qin Feiyang disappeared. The black-clothed youth and Old Hai frowned. Black Tortoise World. Qin Feiyang stood above the blood sea with his eyes closed. He released his perception and looked at the living beings around him. Thank you, everyone. It's the Lord Ruler. Where is he? Why can't I see him? Everyone was stunned and quickly scanned the sky. But Qin Feiyang was above the center of the blood sea. The entire western region was a blood sea. With their cultivation, it was impossible for them to see the center of the blood sea. You don't need to know where I am. In short, I want to thank everyone for silently helping me. Qin Feiyang said. Why are you being so polite? You've taken care of us, we should be the ones thanking you. Furthermore, there's not much we can do. We can only do such a small thing to repay you. Everyone spoke. In your eyes, this is only a small thing. But in my eyes, this is a life-saving matter. All right. I won't be polite with you. In the future, I will work harder to protect everyone, protect this world, and protect our common home. Qin Feiyang said. That's enough. Everyone nodded. Qin Feiyang didn't hesitate and directly activated the slaughter domain. Splash! The blood below turned into huge waves and rushed toward Qin Feiyang. In an instant, Qin Feiyang was drowned in blood. Not good. He must be going to activate the slaughter domain. You guys, quickly think of a way to kill your way into the Black Tortoise world. Outside. Seeing Qin Feiyang disappear, the dragon god sword pondered for a moment before shouting at Old Hai and Old Hai. Slaughter domain? The two were slightly stunned. There was a trace of suspicion in their eyes. Slaughter domain is a type of divine art. But don't underestimate it. This slaughter domain can allow Qin Feiyang's strength to surpass a sovereign weapon. Back in the ancient world, this lord lost to him like this. The dragon god sword roared, its tone anxious. It had personally experienced the might of the slaughter domain, so it did not dare to underestimate it. Is it that heaven-defying? However, Old Hai and the black-clothed youth were somewhat suspicious. Because this was too inconceivable. The strength of a sovereign divine weapon was obvious to all. How could it be stronger than a sovereign divine weapon? What kind of joke was this? What kind of divine art was this? They had never seen it before. How could there be such a freakish one? Boom! At this moment, Qin Feiyang appeared. A day outside was equivalent to 1,000 years inside. Therefore, when Qin Feiyang superimposed his cultivation base, not much time had passed in the outside world. However, at this moment, Qin Feiyang was completely different from before. Blood energy swirled around his body, and his killing intent soared to the heavens. Even the sea beasts tens of millions of miles away could feel the monstrous killing intent. It was as if a god of death had descended upon the world. Especially the blood sword in his hand. The blood in the western region's blood sea had almost been sucked dry by him. He was no different from when he was in the inner sea. Damn it! The dragon god sword roared. How is this possible? Old Hai and the black-robed man stared at Qin Feiyang, dumbfounded. At this moment, even they felt a fatal threat from Qin Feiyang. If I could destroy you in the inner sea, I can do the same now. Qin Feiyang held the blood sword and charged toward the dragon god sword. Clang! With a slash of the sword, sparks burst out. The dragon god sword was immediately forced back. Qin Feiyang also spat out a mouthful of blood. He immediately used the battle symbol art and charged forward again. This is too heaven-defying. Looking at Qin Feiyang's murderous intent, the black-robed man could not help but be stunned. There were very few things that could surprise him. However, at this moment, he was truly shocked by Qin Feiyang. What level of divine art was this? How could it be so heaven-defying? Space-time storm. Old Hai waved his hand, and a huge tornado swept toward Qin Feiyang. Get lost! Qin Feiyang roared and slashed out with his sword. The space-time storm was annihilated on the spot. What? Old Hai's eyes trembled. This was Qin Feiyang's means. No wonder even the dragon god sword, a sovereign divine weapon, was so afraid. He suddenly felt a little worried. What would happen if Qin Feiyang charged into the Blood Palace? With Qin Feiyang's appearance, the pressure on the castle was greatly reduced. They focused on fighting the horsetail whisk. The two battlefields were dark. Old Hai and the black-robed man could not intervene for a while. They could only watch the battle from afar. The black-robed man turned to look at Old Hai and frowned. Old Hai, who did you provoke? And that sovereign divine weapon, where did you get it? Old Hai was speechless. Look at what you're saying. It's as if we want to provoke him. As for the sovereign divine weapon, it was given to us by someone else. Someone else? I've seen all the sovereign divine weapons in the sky cloud realm. But this one, who is it? The black-robed man was suspicious. This, Old Hai was a little hesitant. You and the palace master are the same. Okay, I won't ask. Anyway, the grudge has already been formed. It's useless to know. Now I just hope that Qin Feiyang won't run to our blood palace like this. Otherwise, I'm afraid our blood palace will be razed to the ground. The black-robed man was quite worried. Don't worry. If he really dares to go to the blood palace, I guarantee that he won't be able to return. Old Hai said. So confident? Why didn't I know that our blood palace has this ability? The black-robed man frowned. In this regard, Old Hai just smiled faintly. Sigh. The black-robed man sighed helplessly. He did not know what these two palace masters were up to. Time passed breath by breath. The battle between Qin Feiyang and the castle and the dragon god sword and the horsetail whisk became more and more intense. The void here had already turned into chaos, as if heaven and earth had just been created. The sea below was also full of devastation. Countless sea beasts were fleeing to the distant sea. This was a pinnacle battle. A battle of this level, even in the sky cloud realm, didn't happen often. Qin Feiyang. The dragon god sword roared. 99 sky dragons soared into the sky, carrying monstrous hostility as they pounced toward Qin Feiyang. Hate me. That's true. After all, you were once defeated by me. For a sovereign divine weapon like you, it should be a great shame. But, no matter how hard you work, you can't wash away this shame. Qin Feiyang, am your nightmare. Qin Feiyang roared and waved the blood-red sword. Waves of blood-red sword qi immediately tore through the chaos and attacked the 99 sky dragons. Boom! The sky fell and the earth cracked. The divine might was shocking. Gradually, the dragon god sword was at a disadvantage again. This made it very angry. Why would such a terrifying human appear? And why would the beings of the Black Tortoise world help him? Because it was obvious that the blood that superimposed the slaughter domain must have been contributed by the beings of the Black Tortoise world. Absorbing blood to increase one's strength, this was the behavior of a demon. Why would they help him? Support him? Were the beings of the Black Tortoise world crazy? No. We can't continue fighting or something will happen. Although it had the Horsetail Whisk as a helper, Qin Feiyang also had the help of the ancient castle. If they really fought to the death, it would be like the situation in the Inner Sea, where both sides would suffer. Clang! It shook off Qin Feiyang and rushed to Old Sea like lightning, shouting, "Go! Go!" Old Sea frowned. What else? Can you defeat him now? The dragon god sword roared. Old Sea was silent. Facing the current Qin Feiyang, he really didn't have much confidence. Hurry up. Otherwise, you won't be able to leave. The dragon god sword urged. It knew Qin Feiyang too well. When he went all out, he was more ruthless than anyone. Sure enough. Before it finished its words, Qin Feiyang held the blood-colored sword and charged at it. Hurry! The dragon god sword roared. Clang! But at this moment, accompanied by an ear-piercing sword cry, a sword shadow shattered the sky, breaking through the air like lightning. Qin Feiyang was shocked. When he looked up, a cold light flashed in his eyes. At the same time, Old Sea and the black-clothed youth also looked at the sword shadow. The black-clothed youth also had a trace of suspicion in his eyes, but a smile crept onto Old Sea's face. Just in time. The dragon god sword was also overjoyed. It immediately charged at Qin Feiyang and roared, "Don't run if you have the ability." Qin Feiyang faced the dragon god sword while looking at the sword shadow. That's right. That was the sovereign divine weapon in the hands of the dragon's prince, the ice dragon sacred sword. Qin Feiyang. From afar, the ice dragon sacred sword let out a deafening roar. Then, when they arrived at the battlefield, without saying a word, they charged at Qin Feiyang. The situation was reversed in an instant. Facing these two former enemies, Qin Feiyang couldn't block them at all. The blood-colored sword and the slaughter domain were both cracking. But escaping was also impossible. 3 sovereign divine weapons, as well as Old Sea and the black-clothed youth, these two powerful existences, it was difficult for him and the ancient castle to kill their way out. Since he couldn't kill his way out, then he would fight to the death. Even if he died, he would drag them down with him. Qin Feiyang's eyes were filled with madness. His entire body was covered in blood, but he didn't retreat at all. The blood-colored sword continued to clash with the 2 sovereign divine weapons. The terrifying shockwaves of the battle swept through the world. He's a ruthless person. The black-clothed youth muttered. This old man didn't realize that he was actually such a crazy person. Old Sea whispered. When he was calm, he was calmer than anyone else. When he was crazier than anyone else. This kind of person was too terrifying. Especially when it was such a young junior. If he was so strong now, what about in the future? He also finally realized that this didn't seem to be a good start. Once this kind of person was provoked, he had to eliminate the roots. Boom! Suddenly, a destructive aura emerged from Old Sea's body. The black-clothed youth was shocked. Qin Feiyang was also shocked. He looked at Old C from the corner of his eyes. Old C's current aura actually made him feel a trace of fear. This child must die. Old C opened his mouth and stared at Qin Feiyang. His killing intent was bone-chilling. That aura became more and more terrifying, causing the world to tremble. But when you use this move, it will consume a small realm of cultivation, and it will be lost forever. You have to recultivate it. The black-clothed youth said. What? Consuming a small realm of cultivation in exchange for a killer move? And it will be lost forever. Qin Feiyang's heart trembled. This kind of killer move, how terrifying was it? Chapter 3004. Not to mention sovereigns, even imperishable realm experts wouldn't be willing to waste a small realm's worth of cultivation. Even if this move was heaven-defying. But at this moment, Old Hai didn't hesitate at all. Just how much did he want to kill him? Was he really that big of a threat to the Blood Hall? Qin Feiyang probably didn't realize how terrifying his current state was. Not to mention Old Hai, any opponent would want to kill him. Just think about it. A mere half-step imperishable realm expert could fight against a sovereign weapon. How heaven-defying was this? Qin Feiyang, you will die today. The dragon god sword sneered. It only felt hatred for Qin Feiyang. Because back in the inner sea, Qin Feiyang really wanted to destroy it. If it wasn't for the revered dragon and Qin Feiyang being heavily injured at that time, it would probably have been buried in the inner sea. Qin Feiyang's eyes were gloomy. 3 sovereign weapons and Old Hai's mysterious killing move, this wasn't a good thing. Just him and Gu Bao alone wouldn't be able to fight back. Clang! Gu Bao also realized that the situation wasn't good. He shook off his whisk and charged at Old Hai. Time stop. The power of law filled the air. In an instant, the 3 sovereign weapons, Old Hai and the black-clothed youth, froze in the air. Gu Bao used this chance to attack Old Hai. At the same time, Qin Feiyang also used this chance to attack the black-clothed youth with his blood-colored sword. These two had to die. Because there were too many variables in their existence. Only by getting rid of them could he fight the 3 sovereign weapons without hesitation. As for running, there was no way to do so now. Because Old Hai controlled the law of space, no matter how they ran, he could catch up. The only solution was to fight to the death. But just as Qin Feiyang and Gu Bao were about to reach the black-clothed youth and Old Hai, the law of space surged out of Old Hai's body. The state of time stop was broken. In the next instant, Old Hai opened a crack in space, grabbed the black-clothed youth, and disappeared. At the same time, the 3 sovereign divine weapons charged toward Qin Feiyang and the ancient castle from behind. Damn it! Qin Feiyang cursed. He thought that he could use this opportunity to get rid of the 2 of them, but he still underestimated their strength. However, it made sense when he thought about it. How could the dignified number 2 and number 3 figures of the Blood Hall be people with an undeserved reputation? Clang! The 3 sovereigns' divine weapons arrived in an instant. Qin Feiyang and the castle turned around to counterattack, but they were obviously in a hurry. With a loud bang, Qin Feiyang and the castle were sent flying. The blood sword cracked inch by inch. Qin Feiyang was also seriously injured in an instant. It was obvious that he was weak. Dozens of cracks also appeared on the ancient castle. It could be said that their situation was precarious. Old Hai, I don't think you need to activate that forbidden technique. Old Hai and the black-clothed youth appeared on the other side of the void. The black-clothed youth looked at the situation of Qin Feiyang and the ancient castle. This is called being too smart for your own good. Do you think you can kill us with this little trick? In the end, they were the ones who were caught off guard. Old Hai sneered. The black-clothed youth said, "But you can't deny that this kid is indeed terrifying. No matter how terrifying he is, we have to wait for him to grow up." Old Hai was disdainful, and the terrifying aura inside him gradually faded. "Qin Feiyang, this is retribution. Go to hell." The dragon god sword sneered. The three sovereigns' divine weapons didn't hold back at all. Their divine might destroyed all directions as they attacked Qin Feiyang and the ancient castle. Clang! The ancient castle shook in the void, emitting a decisive aura as it blasted toward the three sovereigns' divine weapons. 1 against 3? Obviously, it was impossible. The ancient castle was immediately torn apart. Bastard! Qin Feiyang was furious. He rushed to the front of the ancient castle and slashed with the blood sword. "You are already at the end of your road." The dragon god sword sneered. With a loud clang, the blood-red sword shattered, and the slaughter domain collapsed as well. "You are very strong. If it was 1 against 1, we wouldn't be your match. But what a pity. Now, there is only you and the ancient castle. Facing our three sovereigns' divine weapons, even the slaughter domain is powerless." The dragon god sword said regretfully. Then, it immediately charged toward Qin Feiyang, not giving Qin Feiyang any chance to breathe. Because it understood Qin Feiyang too well, there were too many possibilities in his body. Once he was given time, he might be able to find a chance to turn things around. Looking at the three sovereigns' divine weapons, Qin Feiyang felt bitter. It seemed that he still couldn't escape this calamity. He sighed, "Ancient castle, I am really sorry. I have always been a burden to you." The ancient castle was silent. "Even now, you are still not willing to communicate with me?" Qin Feiyang was helpless. "There is no such thing as a burden. On the contrary, I cherish you as a companion." A voice suddenly sounded in Qin Feiyang's mind. "The Shadowless." Qin Feiyang's body trembled. This familiar voice, it had been a long time. Wait. Wasn't he talking to the ancient castle now? Why would the voice of the Shadowless appear? There was no such thing as a burden. Qin Feiyang was stunned and looked at the ancient castle with a face full of surprise. "Yes, I am the Shadowless you have always called." The voice sounded again. "You are the Shadowless?" Qin Feiyang was shocked. The ancient castle was the Shadowless? This was too unexpected. He had never thought of this before. In other words, the ancient castle had been communicating with him for a long time, but he didn't know. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and said with a smile, "Thank you for always being with me." "What are you thanking me for?" "We are companions. We rely on each other and protect each other." The ancient castle smiled. "We rely on each other and protect each other," Qin Feiyang muttered, his eyes suddenly filled with determination, and said, "Ancient castle, I have one last thing to ask of you, take the Black Tortoise realm away and protect the creatures inside. I believe that you can do it." Qin Feiyang looked at the three Dominator divine weapons and said in a low voice. "Difficult. I'll do my best." The ancient castle sighed. "Thank you." Qin Feiyang smiled gratefully, took a step in front of the ancient castle, and secretly said, "Little brat, leave with the ancient castle immediately." "How troublesome." The little boy's voice sounded. Following closely. The little boy appeared in front of Qin Feiyang. However, he did not leave. Looking at the three Dominator divine weapons, his small eyes emitted an incomparably sharp light. However, under that light, there was also a trace of fear. "Go!" Qin Feiyang shouted. "Sigh." The little boy shook his head and sighed, and said helplessly, "Why do I have to deal with a troublemaker like you? There's always a bunch of trouble wherever you go." Boom! As his voice fell, the little boy raised his arm, and strands of resplendent five-colored divine light appeared in his palm. However, this five-colored divine light was not divine power. It emitted an extremely obscure aura. "This is..." The ancient castle was shocked and hurriedly shouted, "You can't do this?" Qin Feiyang looked at the ancient castle. What was this divine light? It actually made the ancient castle so anxious. Now that things have come to this, I can't really leave him alone. The little boy shook his head. The five-colored divine light in his hand became more and more resplendent, illuminating half of the world. Its aura also became more and more terrifying. At this moment, even the three Dominator divine weapons couldn't help but feel a sense of fear in their hearts. "This is Source Energy!" Ice Dragon Holy Sword exclaimed. "This is the Source Energy?" Qin Feiyang looked at the five-colored divine light in the little boy's hand. He had always heard of the Source Energy, but he had never seen it before. So this was what it looked like. If you know that it's the Source Energy, then you should know how powerful it is. The little boy looked at the three Dominator divine weapons and said, "The Source Energy is indeed very strong, but with the current Black Tortoise world, it is no match for us." The Dragon God Sword sneered. The little boy shouted, "Then, what if I use up all the Source Energy of the Black Tortoise world?" The moment he spoke, a large amount of five-colored divine light appeared and condensed into a circular ball of light in front of the little boy, emitting a world-destroying aura. Moreover, the Source Energy was still emerging, and the five-colored ball of light grew bigger and bigger. The surrounding void collapsed one by one, and then turned into chaos. This phenomenon spread wildly. It was as if it was going to swallow the entire heavenly cloud sea. For this part of the sea, it was a disaster. Crazy, crazy. If I use up all the Source Energy, the Black Tortoise world will be destroyed, and even you will be destroyed. For a Qin Feiyang, is it worth it? The Dragon God Sword roared and didn't dare to approach, its voice was filled with fear. The destruction of the Black Tortoise world, Qin Feiyang's body and mind trembled as he looked at the little boy. "Whether it's worth it or not, I know it in my heart, you don't need to worry." The little boy snorted. "Good. Since you don't care about anything, then I don't care. Today, Qin Feiyang must die, you can't stop it." The Dragon God Sword roared. With a loud clang, the Dragon God Sword shone brightly and slashed at Qin Feiyang. "Help! If it's alone, it will definitely be a situation of mutual destruction. But with our help, there might be a chance of survival." The Ice Dragon Sacred Sword shouted. Clang! The Dragon God Sword and Horsetail Whisk also immediately attacked. "Do you have to fight to the death? Good. I'll fulfill your wish," the little boy shouted. But at this moment, a crimson sword light descended from the sky, tearing through the chaos and attacking Old Hai and the black-clothed youth. The two of them were shocked and quickly looked up. They saw a woman in a white dress standing in the sky, holding a crimson sword in her hand. "This is..." Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled. "Isn't this Elder Hua's sovereign divine weapon?" The sword light arrived in an instant, and Old Hai and the black-clothed youth immediately escaped. At the same time, the woman in the white dress took a step forward and landed in front of Qin Feiyang, saying, "I've finally found you. Looking for me?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. The woman in the white dress didn't answer. With a gentle wave of her slender arm, a space-time crack appeared, and then swept up Qin Feiyang, the little boy, and the castle, and entered the space-time crack without looking back. "Don't even think about escaping." The God of Heaven Sword roared. "Don't be arrogant, one day, we will kill our way to the Blood Palace, just you wait." The little boy's voice came out from the crack. Immediately after, a five-colored ball of light flew out from the crack, carrying a destructive aura as it blasted toward the three sovereign divine weapons. Chapter 3005. The three sovereign divine weapons never expected that the little boy would attack them before leaving. Caught off guard, they collided with the five-colored divine light. Clang! Immediately, cracks appeared on their bodies. Back to Qin Feiyang and the others. At this moment, they descended above a mountain. The mountain stretched for tens of thousands of miles, ancient trees towered into the sky, and fierce beasts ran rampant. Gusts of sea breeze blew from behind. Qin Feiyang turned his head to look, and discovered that there was a boundless sea behind him. That's the heavenly cloud sea. The woman in white put away the red sword and said with a faint smile. Qin Feiyang asked, "You mean, we have already left the heavenly cloud sea?" "Yes." The woman in white nodded and pointed to the mountain below. "This is the border between the eastern continent and the heavenly cloud sea." The eastern continent, the heavenly cloud sea, the border. Qin Feiyang looked at them one by one and murmured, "So now, we are safe?" "Yes. Safe. But we can't relax because there are many people from the Blood Hall lurking in the eastern continent," the woman in white said. Qin Feiyang and the little boy looked at each other and couldn't help but have a trace of joy in their eyes. This was really a new lease of life after a disaster. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and a life divine pill appeared. He looked at the woman and asked, "May I ask, who is senior to Elder Hua?" "It's not important, I'm just an errand boy." The woman in white waved her hand and looked at Qin Feiyang with interest, "But you really surprised me. You can actually fight with the three sovereign divine weapons to this extent." "I've let Senior see a joke." Qin Feiyang shook his head. Although the little boy had a solemn look, even if the three sovereign divine weapons were destroyed, there was still the black-clothed youth and Elder Hua. So, if it weren't for this woman's help, they would have died in the end. "I'm laughing at you." Facing the three sovereign divine weapons, no one in the entire sky cloud realm has the courage to fight with them. Although it's quite embarrassing, this courage is worthy of praise. The woman nodded. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. "All right, you guys rest." Without waiting for Qin Feiyang's response, the woman in the white dress turned around and disappeared into the mountains below. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Leaving just like that? He still had a lot of questions. Whoosh! At this moment, Gu Bao also silently entered the Black Tortoise world. Qin Feiyang originally wanted to chat with the castle a bit more, but the castle clearly didn't want to communicate with him. Shaking his head helplessly, Qin Feiyang looked at the little boy. A trace of surprise suddenly crept into his eyes. He hadn't noticed it before, but the little boy's face was a little pale, and there was a trace of weakness between his brows. "What's wrong with you?" Qin Feiyang frowned. "Nothing. It's just that I've used up too much of my source energy just now." The little boy shook his head. Qin Feiyang recalled the little boy's attack in the spatial rift, so he asked, "How much origin power was there?" 1/3. The little boy said. "What? So much?" Qin Feiyang was shocked. The little boy nodded and said, "It doesn't seem like much after condensing it, but its lethality is extremely terrifying." "Then can this 1/3 of the source energy hurt the dragon god sword and the others?" Qin Feiyang was doubtful. "Yes. But it's far from fatal. With the current state of the Black Tortoise world, to truly destroy them, I'll have to use all of my source energy," the little boy said. "Then will the Black Tortoise world really be destroyed after using up all of your source energy? And you, will your soul really be destroyed?" Qin Feiyang asked. The little boy nodded. Qin Feiyang's gaze trembled, and he hurriedly said, "Then don't do anything in the future. Have you seen me do anything in the past? There's no other way this time. In the future, just don't cause me any trouble." The little boy glared at Qin Feiyang and went straight to the Black Tortoise world. They're the ones who came to provoke me, okay? Qin Feiyang was depressed. Originally, he wanted to get married and enter the bridal chamber, but in the end? These people came looking for trouble and came to snatch the bride. Fine. Then he would go and snatch her back. In the end, he managed to snatch her back, but trouble came again. A large number of powerhouses came to kill him. They even used 3 sovereign divine weapons. They really thought highly of him. What could he do? He could only fight with his life. It could be said that, whether it was the dragons of the past or the current blood hall, the other party came to provoke him again and again. In other words, he had always been passive in his counterattack. Whoosh! Qin Feiyang took a deep breath again and turned to look at the sea of heavenly clouds. His eyes flashed with a cold light. Just wait, the good show is yet to come. How you treat me today, I'll return it to you in the future. Following closely, Qin Feiyang turned and scanned the boundless land in front of him. The eastern continent, whoosh! Just as Qin Feiyang was about to leave, a white figure rushed out from the mountains below. Qin Feiyang looked and found that it was the woman in the white dress. He was stunned. Senior, you didn't leave? Did I say I was leaving again? The woman in the white dress asked. Qin Feiyang was stunned. At that time, she only said to let them rest and didn't say anything about leaving. The woman in the white dress asked, "Let me ask you, are you willing to go to the demonic palace with me?" Demonic palace? Qin Feiyang was stunned and hurriedly said, "Senior Hua is from the demonic palace?" The woman in the white dress said, "Don't worry about it, I'm just asking you if you want to go or not." This, Qin Feiyang hesitated. Elder Hua's identity was obvious. He was definitely from the demonic palace and his position in the demonic palace was not low. This woman had most likely left to send a message to Elder Hua. In other words, the person who invited him to the demonic palace was most likely Elder Hua. But he knew nothing about Elder Hua and this woman in front of him. Although it was a bit like repaying kindness with evil, he had to be careful now. Because there were many things in this world that were not as simple as they seemed on the surface. He had to be careful. The woman in the white dress said, "I won't force you, I respect your choice." "Thank you," Qin Feiyang said gratefully. After muttering to himself for a while, he finally made a decision in his heart and said, "Senior should also know that I am from the lower realms and know nothing about the sky cloud realm. Therefore, I want to walk around first." The woman in the white dress asked, "So you're rejecting my invitation?" "I'm sorry." Qin Feiyang's face showed a trace of apology. "All right. As long as you're happy." The woman in the white dress smiled faintly and then took out a token from her arms. "Then take this. It might be useful in the future." After saying that, she threw the token to Qin Feiyang and then opened a space-time passage and left. Qin Feiyang caught the token. After watching the woman leave, he lowered his head and looked at the token in his hand. The token was half the size of an adult's palm. It was completely black and there was a striking word "demon" engraved on it. "Is this the Demon Palace's token?" Qin Feiyang muttered and turned it over. There was a name on the back. Chu Yun. Chu Yun. Qin Feiyang muttered. Was this the woman's name? But in Luo Tianshan's memory, he did not find any information about Chu Yun. It seemed that this woman's status in the Demon Palace was not low. People like Luo Tianshan were not qualified to come in contact with her. Qin Feiyang put away the token and glanced around. Then he took a step and disappeared into the mountain ahead. Demon Palace. At this moment, in a hall, the blood-red clothed old man glared at Elder Hua and a woman above him. He said gloomily, "You're really despicable. You actually let Chu Yun secretly go and save them. Saving a life is better than building a 7-floor pagoda. Besides, in terms of despicability, how can we compare to your blood palace? You actually went to the lower realm to capture someone, and it's someone else's bride. Haven't you heard of this saying? It's better to tear down 10 temples than to ruin a marriage. Elder Hua chuckled. Good, very good. The blood-red clothed old man was so angry that he laughed and said, I'd like to see how long you can protect him. After saying that, he turned around and left with his hands behind his back. Take care. I won't send you off. Elder Hua waved his hand and smiled. Humph. The blood-red clothed old man snorted coldly. He walked out of the hall and disappeared into thin air. Old thing. A cold light flashed in Elder Hua's eyes. We've finally won back this time. The woman sitting above him laughed. She was a charming woman in her 30s. She wore a palace dress and looked graceful and luxurious. Her aura was also unfathomable. Not bad. Elder Hua nodded. The woman in the palace dress looked at Elder Hua and asked, What do you plan to do with Qin Feiyang? This, Elder Hua pondered for a while and said, Let's wait for Xiao Yun to come back and tell us the details before we make a decision. All right. The woman in the palace dress nodded. Whoosh. Speak of the devil. A space-time crack appeared in the hall, and the woman in the white dress walked out quickly. You're back. Elder Hua chuckled. Just this once. Don't come to me for help again. The woman in the white dress waved her hand, and a red sword appeared in front of the woman in the palace dress. The woman in the palace dress put away the sword and asked, Where's Qin Feiyang? He rejected our invitation. The woman in the white dress shook her head. Rejected? Elder Hua was stunned. Yes. The reason is that he wants to walk around and have a look. The woman in the white dress nodded. There's actually someone who rejected our invitation. The woman in the palace dress shook her head and smiled. She looked at the woman in the white dress and said, What do you think of him? I only said a few words to him. How can I judge him? After the woman in the white dress said that, her face darkened slightly. She said, However, I heard something big. What is it? The woman in the palace dress and Elder Hua were surprised. When I appeared, there was a child standing next to Qin Feiyang. And this child can control the origin energy. The woman in the white dress said. The origin energy. The woman in the palace dress stood up. Elder Hua was also shocked. He asked, Are you sure? I'm sure. The woman in the white dress shook her head. How is that possible? Elder Hua and the woman in the palace dress looked at each other. The woman in the white dress said, I suspect that Qin Feiyang has an independent world in his hands. That's impossible. Elder Hua said decisively. An independent world? What kind of concept was that? The woman in the white dress asked, Then tell me, how do you explain the origin energy? I don't know. Elder Hua shook his head. The woman in the palace dress returned to her seat and muttered, If this child really has an independent world, then it's incredible. Chapter 3006. The woman in white asked curiously, Do you think the Blood Hall attacked him because of this? It's hard to judge. Elder Hua pondered for a while and shook his head. The woman in palace attire looked at the woman in white and asked, Is there anything else? Yes. The woman in white nodded. What? Elder Hua looked at her suspiciously. The woman in white said, The Blood Hall suddenly has 2 more sovereign divine weapons. Huh? The 2 were surprised. The woman in white waved her hand, and the ice dragon sacred sword and the dragon god sword condensed. The 2 looked at the 2 sovereign divine weapons, their faces full of surprise. They had never seen it before. At that time, it was because of these two sovereign divine weapons that Qin Feiyang and the others were driven to despair. Moreover, it seems that they have some deep hatred in the past. The woman in white said. What the hell is going on? Elder Hua frowned. The woman in white said, in addition, Qin Feiyang's strength doesn't seem to be simple. What do you mean? Elder Hua was suspicious. When I found them, I didn't show up immediately. I hid in the dark and watched. I saw him activate a kind of divine art. According to the two sovereign divine weapons, it seems to be some kind of slaughter domain. This kind of divine art can actually increase his strength to the level where he can contend with the sovereign divine weapons. No. To be exact, it's a little stronger than the sovereign divine weapons. The woman in white said, her face full of disbelief. What? He actually has such a method? Elder Hua was shocked. Anyway, this person's method is not something we can underestimate. Just this time, even if we didn't help him, with his ability, even if the blood hall killed him, they would have to pay a heavy price. The woman in white smiled faintly. Interesting. Hearing this, the woman in palace attire revealed a trace of expectation. The appearance of this child might be able to break the eternal balance of the sky cloud realm. Immediately. The woman in palace attire looked at the silent Elder Hua and said, Little Yun has explained the situation. Now, what do you think we should do to deal with this child? This, Elder Hua was also hesitant. There are times when you can't make up your mind. The white-dressed woman looked at Elder Hua with a mocking expression. Elder Hua glared at the woman in white and said, I'll go out for a walk first. Then, he disappeared like a wisp of smoke. Still going for a walk? You're in a good mood. The woman in the white dress shouted. He's not going for a walk. The woman shook her head. The white-skirted woman said, I know that he's taken a fancy to this Qin Feiyang. However, this Qin Feiyang is no ordinary person. I'm afraid that it won't be that easy to have any ideas about him or for us to use him. Let Elder Hua think about it on his own. The most important thing right now is to investigate the origins of those two sovereign weapons. Immediately notify our spies in the Blood Hall and have them find out as soon as possible. The woman said. We can find a chance to ask Qin Feiyang about this. That's because he most definitely knows the origin of those two sovereign divine armaments. The white-dressed woman frowned. Don't disturb him for the time being, lest he feels disgusted. Let's investigate first. If we really can't find anything, we'll go look for him. The woman in the palace dress said. That's fine. I'll let my men arrange it. After the woman in the white dress said that, she turned around and left quickly. Qin Feiyang, sovereign divine armaments, it seems that the sky cloud realm is going to be lively. The woman in the palace dress muttered to herself. Then, she smiled slightly and got up and disappeared. Back to Qin Feiyang. He walked in the air above the mountains and rivers, looking down curiously at everything below. There were all kinds of ferocious beasts running rampant in the mountains. And they were all very powerful. Qin Feiyang found more than a dozen perfect imperishable realm ferocious beasts. He didn't find any sovereign realm ferocious beasts. Along the way, there were ferocious beasts blocking his way from time to time. However, he had a heaven-defying divine artifact. As long as it wasn't an expert like Elder Hua, he wasn't afraid. These mountains and rivers were also extremely vast. It took him 5 days to get out and enter the sky above a plain. One must know. His current speed wasn't slow, but it took him 5 days to cross this mountain. And this mountain was just a drop in the ocean in the entire eastern continent. One could imagine how big the entire eastern continent was, and how big the entire sky cloud realm was. Standing in the air above the plain, Qin Feiyang looked ahead. In front of him, there was a city. The city covered an area of hundreds of thousands of miles, and majestic buildings stood tall. There was a towering city wall on all sides, exuding an ancient aura. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and Madman appeared beside him. What? Madman raised his eyebrows. He was cultivating when he was suddenly pulled out, so he was a little unhappy. Aren't you interested in looking at this land? Qin Feiyang smiled. Madman glanced around and looked at the city in front of him. He pursed his lips and said, "What's there to look at?" Although he said so, there was a trace of curiosity in his eyes. You don't mean what you say. The sky cloud realm is completely beyond our imagination. Look at the city in front. From Luo Tianshan's memories, it's called East Mountain City. It's the closest city to the sky cloud sea in the eastern continent. Luo Tianshan's home is here. Do you know how many people there are in this city? About 5 to 6 million, but this city is the smallest in the eastern continent. Qin Feiyang said. This is the smallest? Madman was stunned. Qin Feiyang nodded. Madman looked at East Mountain City and frowned. Then how strong are the people here? Is there a need to ask? There are martial artists who have just stepped onto the path of cultivation, and there are also powerful imperishable realm experts. And the city lord of East Mountain City, according to Luo Tianshan's memories, is a half-step dominator. Qin Feiyang said. This is a dominator realm expert? Madman was stunned. Qin Feiyang nodded and said, but it seems to be this city lord. Half-step dominator, interesting, Madman chuckled. Then let's go in and take a look. I need to buy something just now. Qin Feiyang asked. What do you want to buy? Madman was suspicious. Qin Feiyang said, divine sound transmission stone and a teleportation altar. Madman was surprised, this place also uses a teleportation altar? Yes. Apart from the divine sound transmission stone, everything else is no different from the ancient world. For example, soul vein and crystal vein are the most important resources of the sky cloud realm. Of course, there are many things that the ancient world doesn't have. Let's talk about it later. Qin Feiyang smiled. Then let's go. Madman immediately flew down. Qin Feiyang smiled and also landed on the plains below. Then, the two walked side by side toward the city. On the way, there were many people coming and going. There were rich people who were leisurely strolling and chatting, and there were also ordinary people who were in a hurry. Madman looked at the passers-by and suddenly thought of something. He asked suspiciously, what's with the first volume of the pill scripture? If you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten. Qin Feiyang patted his head and said, speaking of the first volume of the pill scripture, there is a legend in the sky cloud realm. Legend? Madman was stunned. Yes. Legend has it that there are 2 volumes of the pill scripture. The first volume records all the pill recipes below the dominator realm. As for the second volume, it records pill recipes above the dominator realm. But in the sky cloud realm, there is only the second volume and not the first volume. Qin Feiyang said. Only the second volume and not the first volume? Madman was stunned. Yes. The second volume of the pill scripture is handwritten copies of all the major forces in the sky cloud realm. But only the first volume of the pill scripture is like a mystery, no one knows where it is. Not only the ordinary people of Luo Tian Mountain, even the major forces of the sky cloud realm have been looking for the first volume of the pill scripture. But no one has found it. As for the whereabouts of the first volume of the pill scripture, it has never stopped. Today, someone said that the first volume of the pill scripture is somewhere. Tomorrow, someone said that the first volume of the pill scripture has appeared somewhere. But when everyone rushed to check, there was no first volume of the pill scripture at all. It was all rumors. In short, The news about the first volume of the pill scripture has appeared again and again, but none of it is true. Qin Feiyang said. Madman nodded and frowned. You said that the first volume of the pill scripture is all the pill recipes below the Dominator realm, right? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Then the pill scripture in your hand, I heard Dan Wangkai say that it contains all the pill recipes below the Dominator realm. Say, is the pill scripture in your hand the first volume of the pill scripture that the Sky Cloud realm is looking for? Madman asked. This, Qin Feiyang was stunned. This question, he didn't have time to think about it. There was also the universe ring that he snatched from Wuxia. He didn't have time to look at it. He didn't know if the first volume of the pill scripture was in the universe ring. If the pill scripture in your hand is really the first volume of the pill scripture that the Sky Cloud realm is looking for, then you've really poked a big hole. Madman said with a gloating smile. What do you mean? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. You see, the entire Sky Cloud realm is looking for it. It can be seen how much they covet the first volume of the pill scripture. If they know that it's in your hands, you say, they will frantically come to snatch it. Madman laughed sinisterly. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He shook his head and smiled. Hearing you say that, it seems to be quite serious. So, this pill scripture in your hand, you must not leak it out. Madman warned. Those who know about the existence of the pill scripture are our own people. If we don't say it, who will know? Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. That's true. Madman nodded. While talking, the two had already approached the city gate. On both sides of the city gate, two guards stood straight. They wore armor and scanned the people coming and going. Their eyes were extremely sharp. And the strength of these two people was also quite good. Half-step imperishable realm. Damn! Even the guards of the city gate are half-step imperishable realm. The Sky Cloud realm really has as many imperishable realm experts as dogs. Madman muttered. Yes. There's always a higher mountain. Qin Feiyang nodded. The path of cultivation was actually like this. When you reach the peak of a place, you will suddenly find that there is a place stronger than here, forcing you to keep moving forward. Chapter 3007. In front of the city gate, everyone maintained a good order as they entered the city one after another. Qin Feiyang and Madman secretly communicated as they followed the flow of people towards the city gate. Facing the people entering and leaving, the two guards didn't check them one by one. Only when they saw a new face would they go up and ask a few questions. When Qin Feiyang and Madman walked over, the two guards looked at each other and stopped them, asking, "You two are a bit unfamiliar, where did you come from?" Madman glanced at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang had read Luo Tianshan's memories, so he definitely knew the situation of East Mountain City. And with Qin Feiyang's personality, when he was preparing to enter East Mountain City, he must have thought of a way to deal with it. As expected. Facing the questioning of the two guards, Qin Feiyang didn't panic at all. He looked at the two guards and smiled. "We came from Mountain River Town." Mountain River Town? The two guards were startled. After thinking carefully for a moment, there was indeed such a place in this area. First time in East Mountain City? The guard on the left asked. Qin Feiyang smiled. "It's not my first time here. I came here occasionally before, but I didn't meet you two." If he said it was his first time here, it wouldn't be realistic. After all, he lived in this area. And from Luo Tianshan's memories, the guards guarding the city gate would change every once in a while, so it wasn't a problem to say that. "Okay then. Since you've been here before, you should know the rules here. Go in." The two guards retreated to their original positions. "Thank you." Qin Feiyang smiled gratefully and led Madman into the city. What rules? Madman was suspicious. What other rules can there be? It's just that you can't fight or cause destruction in the city. Qin Feiyang thought. Ha! Do I look like such an honest person to you? Madman chuckled. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but laugh. Stop! But suddenly, the shouts of the two guards behind him sounded again. Qin Feiyang and the madman were stunned. They turned around and saw a short, middle-aged man with the head of a dog and the eyes of a mouse being stopped by two guards. I don't think I've seen you before. The two sized up the middle-aged man. The man immediately smiled. Sirs, I'm from the nearby Black Mountain town. This is my first time coming to East Mountain City. First time? The two guards were startled. Yes, yes. The man nodded. If I remember correctly, Black Hills town is not far from Eastmount City. Is this your first time here? The two guards frowned. Hearing this, the man did not panic at all. He smiled and said, "It's like this. Although I was born in Black Hills town, I have always been in Tianfeng City." I see. Madman asked suspiciously, what kind of place is Wind City? Wind City is another city near the Sky Cloud Ocean. It's a bit bigger than East Mountain City. However, he was born in Black Mountain Town. It's his first time coming to East Mountain City. Isn't that a bit unreasonable? Qin Feiyang frowned. Is Black Mountain Town far from here? Madman was puzzled. Not far. With our cultivation, it's only half a day's journey. Qin Feiyang shook his head. That's nothing. After all, he just said that he's in Wind City. Maybe he was born in Black Mountain Town and lived in Wind City. Madman said. Qin Feiyang nodded and didn't think too much about it. He walked side by side with Madman, looking at the local customs of East Mountain City. Because there was a ban on fighting, the city was relatively peaceful. There was an endless stream of people going in and out of the shops on both sides. It was very lively. What is the currency of the Sky Cloud domain? Madman suddenly asked. Qin Feiyang said, divine crystals and soul stones. Soul stones? Madman was startled. Yes. Generally speaking, they use divine crystals to trade. But if they encounter precious treasures, they will use soul stones to trade. Qin Feiyang explained. I see. Madman muttered and asked, then there should be places like the treasure pavilion here, right? Of course there is. The trading places in the eastern continent are called demon towers. They are all over the big and small cities in the eastern continent. Qin Feiyang said. Demon towers? Madman was startled. Demon towers are under the jurisdiction of the Demon Hall. In other words, the Demon Hall is the owner behind the demon towers. It's the same in the Western continent, Southern continent, and Northern continent. The trading places are all backed by the Blood Hall, Sky Hall, and Deity Hall. Qin Feiyang said. The trading places under the Demon Hall are called Demon Towers. Then the trading places under the Blood Hall, Deity Hall, and Sky Hall are called Blood Towers, Deity Towers, and Heaven Towers? Madman was speechless. You don't say, it's really like that. Qin Feiyang smiled. Madman was stunned. How lazy are the people from the four super forces? Even the names are so casual. Actually, it's easier to distinguish them this way. For example, when everyone talks about demon towers, they will naturally think of the Demon Hall. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Then, in the future, this daddy will be called Demon Tower. As long as the name Demon Tower is mentioned, everyone will think of this daddy. Madman chuckled. You must be so bored that your balls hurt. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. Madman grinned and was about to say something. But he suddenly turned around and looked behind. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Madman's gaze shifted to a shop and frowned. Something seems wrong. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. It seems like someone is following us. Madman transmitted his voice. Following? Qin Feiyang was stunned. He actually didn't notice. Madman secretly said, "Do you still remember the person from Black Hills town that we saw at the city gate?" Qin Feiyang nodded. "He has been following us all this time," Madman said. Qin Feiyang hurriedly looked at the crowd, but he didn't notice anything. When this daddy turned around, he entered that shop. Madman transmitted his voice. Qin Feiyang also headed toward the shop. But because of his position, he could only see the entrance of the shop and couldn't see the situation inside. "Don't alert the enemy. Let's confirm it first," Qin Feiyang secretly said. The two continued to stroll around the street as if nothing had happened. But just as the two left, a middle-aged man walked up from the shop and followed Qin Feiyang from afar. It was the middle-aged man with the head of a snake. Qin Feiyang and Madman had been paying attention. After confirming this matter, they were puzzled. Why would they be targeted the moment they arrived at Eastern Mountain City? Is it the Demon Hall? Madman was suspicious. Demon Hall? Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned and frowned. "They don't have to target us." Who knows? The existence of the ancient castle and the Black Tortoise realm has already been known by the Demon Hall. You know the saying, treasuring a jade ring becomes a crime. Madman transmitted his voice. Qin Feiyang frowned. Was it really the Demon Hall? But he felt that it was the Blood Hall. Because the woman in the white dress said that there were many Blood Hall pawns lurking in the eastern continent. Qin Feiyang secretly said, "Let's ignore him for now. Let's go directly to the Demon Tower." The two sped up their pace. After reading Luo Tianshan's memory, Qin Feiyang also knew where the Demon Tower was. Soon, the two of them walked to the front of a large black hall with ease. The hall was more than 100 feet tall and majestic. On the front of the building, there was a plaque with two grand words engraved on it. Demon Tower. On both sides of the door, there were 4 men in black standing straight and emitting a terrifying aura. They are also half-step imperishable realm. Madman muttered. Qin Feiyang's mouth couldn't help but twitch. One had to know that in the ancient realm, half-step imperishable realm was already in existence, standing at the top of the pyramid and was admired by the world. But in the sky cloud realm, they were used to guard the city gates. The difference in treatment was like heaven and earth. Qin Feiyang and Madman secretly glanced behind them and found that the man with the face of a rat was still following them. Thus, the two of them entered the demonic tower quietly. What entered their sight was a spacious hall with rows of transparent counters neatly placed on the 4 sides. Inside the counters, there were treasures shining with divine light. Divine weapons, divine arts, herbs, pills, everything was there. 2 young masters, welcome to the Demon Tower. A young and beautiful woman around 20 years old walked in front of Qin Feiyang and Madman and bowed. Hello. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Is there anything the 2 young masters need help with? The young woman was wearing a red dress and had a friendly smile on her face. Obviously, she was a staff member here. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, I need some divine sound transmission stones, teleportation altars, pill fire and pill furnace. Young master is also an alchemist? The young woman smiled in surprise. I know a little. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Young master is really a humble person. Okay. These are all very common things, I will arrange them for you. But pill fire and pill furnace, what level do you need? The young woman said. 8th grade divine pill furnace. Plus 3 kinds of 7th grade divine pill fires. Qin Feiyang said. Because now, the netherworld demonic flame was 7th grade divine pill fires. It needed to swallow 3 kinds of 7th grade divine pill fires to reach 8th grade. 8th grade pill furnace? 7th grade pill fire? The young woman was stunned. Why? Is it difficult? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. It is indeed a little difficult. The young woman nodded. What do you mean? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Luo Tianshan was not an alchemist, so he did not have much memory in this area. I believe you also know that there are countless alchemists in our eastern continent. Not to mention 7th grade and 8th grade divine pill fires, even 1st grade divine pill fires are not available. The young woman explained. So you don't have any? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Yes. However, we usually only auction pill fires and pill furnaces of this level, not sell them. The young woman said. Qin Feiyang said, then you can sell them to me at the auction price. The young woman was a little hesitant. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, you don't have to be embarrassed. I really don't want to waste time at the auction house. You can sell them to me at the highest auction price. That's a little expensive. The young woman said. Soul stones are not a problem. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. The young woman was stunned and said with a smile, it seems that both of you are from rich families. Well, I will ask the manager. Please wait here for a moment. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. Chapter 3008. With nothing to do, Qin Feiyang and Madman strolled around the hall. Soon, they noticed that the man with the head of a mouse had also entered the demonic building, looking at the treasures on the counter as if nothing had happened. However, from time to time, he would look at Qin Feiyang and Madman. Not done yet? Madman raised his eyebrows. No hurry. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and looked down at the counter in front of him. Through the transparent glass, he saw a divine pill with 2 dragon-shaped core qi. This was a life divine pill. There were also many pills with dragon-shaped core qi and 2 dragon-shaped core qi on the side. He basically knew them all. However, he did not see any potential pills or potential pills. Could it be that there were no such pills in the sky cloud realm? Qin Feiyang, come and take a look. Suddenly, Madman's voice sounded in Qin Feiyang's mind. Qin Feiyang walked over suspiciously. Madman pointed to the counter in front of him and said, look. Qin Feiyang looked over and saw a jade box lying inside the counter. Inside the jade box, there was a pill. This pill was the same size as an ordinary pill, but the color was somewhat dazzling. Its whole body was golden yellow, as if cast in gold. And there were 4 dragon-shaped core qi on it. For dragon-shaped core qi, this was already comparable to Dan Wangkai, Yizhong, and Wang Chang. The most important thing was that he had never seen this kind of pill before. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang was slightly taken aback and found that next to the jade box, there was a small card with the information of the pill. Shangqing Nature Pill. This pill has the magical effect of breaking through the undying realm and opening the door of potential. When Qin Feiyang saw this, he was stunned. It was actually a pill to open the door of potential in the undying realm? We must get this pill. Madman transmitted his voice, his eyes burning with passion. Because right now, what they lacked was this pill. Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered as he thought to himself, do you think this Dan mantra in my hand is really the first volume of the Dan mantra of the sky cloud realm? I think it's possible. Madman nodded. Then don't be rash. This could be a bait. Qin Feiyang thought. Bait? Madman was stunned. Yes. Think about it, the Sky Cloud realm doesn't have the first volume of the alchemy mantra, so there are no potential pills. Thus, even if they possess the Shangqing fortune pellet, it would still be useless. Because the door of potential must be opened layer by layer, slowly and gradually. As for the Shangqing nature pill, it can only open the door of potential for those in the imperishable realm. It cannot open the door of potential for those below the imperishable realm. In other words, without pills like the potential pill, this Shangqing fortune pill would be useless. Since it's useless, why did Missouri Lu place the Shangqing fate pill here? Obviously, they want to use this Shangqing nature pill to lure out the person who possesses the first volume of the alchemy mantra. Qin Feiyang analyzed. You mean, anyone who comes to buy the Shangqing nature pill might possess the first volume of the alchemy mantra? Madman asked. That's right. Because the second volume of the alchemy mantra is in the hands of the major forces, and the pill formulas inside will definitely not be leaked out. After all, it's so important. Therefore, those who possess the first volume of the alchemy mantra can only go to the major trading centers to buy the Shangqing nature pill. Qin Feiyang thought. Madman nodded in realization and said in surprise, "How did you think of this? Did you know it from Luo Tianshan's memories?" "This has nothing to do with Luo Tianshan's memories. How could a small figure like Luo Tianshan know such a secret? For me to think of this, I have to thank the treasure pavilion of the North region." Qin Feiyang laughed secretly. Madman was stunned. "When I entered the North region and went to the treasure pavilion, I found a divine art called the Chaos Origin Divine Art. At that time, I didn't know what was going on, so I planned to get it. Because this Chaos Origin Divine Art was specially created for people with inner demons. After cultivating the Chaos Origin Divine Art, the main body and inner demons can fuse together and unleash extremely powerful strength. Although my inner demons are dead, I wanted to buy it as a memento. But at that moment, Hui ran out and told me not to buy it. Later, I found out that the Chaos Origin Divine Art was a bait to lure people with inner demons out." Qin Feiyang laughed secretly. "So that's how it is. Then, did you get this Chaos Origin Divine Art?" Madman asked. "Yes. Once, when I was with the Vice Pavilion Master, I thought of the Chaos Origin Divine Art, so I asked him for it and explained the situation to him." Qin Feiyang nodded. "Then it seems that this Shangqing nature pill really can't be bought." Madman looked at the pill in the jade box enviously. Because now that he had stepped into the imperishable stage, he had to prepare for a rainy day. No rush. To open the door of potential, you need to reach the perfection imperishable stage. You still have a long way to go. Let's talk about it later. There are so many of us, we can't keep buying Shangqing nature pills in the Demon Tower. So, we have to get the pill formula. Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice. Ever since he had the pill scripture, he had never worried about pill formulas. This feeling was really something he hadn't felt for a long time. He couldn't help but think of the Iron Bowl town. In the Iron Bowl town, not to mention the pill formula, even getting a pill was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Makes sense. Madman nodded. Let's take a look. Since there is a pill that can open the door of potential in the imperishable stage, there should also be a pill that can increase the cultivation of the imperishable stage. This thing is the most important thing for us right now. Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice. That's right. Madman patted his head and immediately started searching. The door of potential could only be opened after reaching the perfection imperishable stage, but increasing one's cultivation could be done at any time. Being able to use a pill to increase one's cultivation could save a lot of time. However, when the two of them searched all the counters, they still couldn't find a pill that could increase the cultivation of the imperishable stage. Why is there nothing? Madman frowned and transmitted his voice. Is there no such information in Luo Tianshan's memory? Let me think. Qin Feiyang lowered his head and searched Luo Tianshan's memory. After a while, his eyes lit up and he nodded, yes. Tell me. Madman urged. There is indeed such a pill called the Dragon Phoenix Divine Pill. It requires dragon blood and phoenix blood as a catalyst. But this pill is very precious. The Demon Tower usually doesn't sell it. Even if it is sold, it will be in the auction house. Qin Feiyang secretly said. Then let's go to the auction house. Madman said. You don't understand what I mean. The Demon Tower usually doesn't sell this pill to outsiders. Even if it is a disciple of the Demon Palace, they would have to pay a huge price to obtain one. Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice. Is there a need to hide it like this? Madman's face was immediately filled with displeasure when he heard this. What a joke. This is a pill that can increase the cultivation of the imperishable stage, how can it not be hidden? Not to mention this Dragon Phoenix Divine Pill, even the 9-chew Yellow Dragon Pill and the 9-turn Dragon Blood Pill in my hands are hidden in my hands. I don't want to give it to outsiders. Qin Feiyang said. All right. Madman nodded his head weakly. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, it seems that it won't be easy to get these 2 pill formulas. From the current situation, he had to enter the Demon Palace to have a chance. If he used the pill scripture in his hands to exchange, the Demon Palace would definitely be very happy. But his pill scripture couldn't be exposed, and he couldn't let others take advantage of him, so he could only think of another way. At this time, the woman in red returned and looked at Qin Feiyang and Madman with a smile. The Tower Master has agreed. Thank you. Qin Feiyang hurriedly thanked her. The woman in red said with a little difficulty, but the Tower Master has a request. Request? Qin Feiyang was taken aback. The woman in red nodded and said, the Tower Master said that he must personally watch you refine a pill once. Personally watch me refine a pill? Qin Feiyang frowned. This is the Tower Master's request, I can't do anything about it. The woman in red said helplessly. In other words, if I refine a pill in front of him, he won't sell me the pill fire and pill furnace? Qin Feiyang asked. Yes. The woman in red nodded. This is a place where you do business, as long as you have money, why do you have to make such a strange request? Madman raised his eyebrows. Wasn't this a waste of their time? I hope the 2 young masters can forgive me. The woman in red smiled apologetically. What do we do? Madman looked at Qin Feiyang. We have a request, what else can we do? Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly and looked at the woman in red. Lead the way. Following the woman in red, the 2 of them walked to the 2nd floor, entered a secluded corner, and stopped in front of a door. The woman in red knocked on the door and said respectfully, Tower Master, they have been brought here. Come in. A hoarse voice sounded from inside. The woman in red pushed open the door and retreated to the side, looking at Qin Feiyang and Madman. Please come in. Qin Feiyang and Madman nodded and walked into the room one after another. It turned out that this was a study. It was about 100 feet, and the layout was quite simple. There was a tea table on one side and a desk on the other. In front of the desk, a white-haired old man was squatting there with his head lowered, as if he was looking at an account book. Take a seat first. The white-haired old man just casually raised his head to look at the 2 of them before continuing with his work. After Qin Feiyang and Madman entered the study, the woman in red did not follow them in. She closed the door and turned to leave. Who are you? What are you doing here? But when she walked to the stairs, she saw a middle-aged man looking up sneakily. That's right. It was the middle-aged man with the face of a rat. The middle-aged man waved his hand and said, "Nothing, nothing, I'm just looking for the entrance to the auction house." The woman in red nodded and walked to the middle-aged man's side. She pointed at a long corridor and said, "The entrance to the auction house is over there, I'll take you there." No need, you do your work, I'll go by myself." The middle-aged man smiled and walked towards the auction house. But after the woman in red left, he turned back and quietly went up to the second floor. He put his ear on the door and eavesdropped on the movements inside. Chapter 3009. Inside the room. Qin Feiyang sat beside the tea table, silently looking at the white-haired old man. But madman next to him had a look of displeasure. "Who are these people? There are guests, but they didn't come to entertain them. They just buried themselves in their own business." He had never seen such a business person. After a long time, madman was almost unable to suppress the anger in his heart. At this time, the white-haired old man finally put down the matter in his hand and looked at the two of them. "Which one of you is refining pills?" Madman was stunned. After making them wait for so long, shouldn't he at least apologize? But not only did he not say it, he even put on a high and mighty attitude. "Who was this for? I'm asking you, who is refining pills?" The white-haired old man frowned, and there was a trace of impatience in his tone. Madman retracted his gaze and looked at Qin Feiyang. Let's go. Pay to suffer." "What do you mean? I made you wait for a while and you have complaints? Let me tell you, it's your honor that this old man can meet you." The white-haired old man smiled proudly. "Honor?" Madman was taken aback for a moment, and a fierce light flashed in his eyes. Arrogant in front of him? One must know that he was the only one who was arrogant in front of others. Even if this was the Sky Cloud boundary, even if this was the Demon Hall's territory, he would not allow it. "Senior brother, calm down, calm down." Qin Feiyang quickly comforted him. He looked at the white-haired old man and smiled. "It's me who is refining pills." The white-haired old man said, "Then let's start. This old man is very busy and has no time to waste with you." "Okay." Qin Feiyang nodded. "Brat, are you sick? You can even endure this kind of crime? If you want me, let's just start and rob this demon tower." Madman sneered. "Don't worry. You don't have to do it." Qin Feiyang secretly smiled and took out the Nether Devil Flame and Heaven Flame Divine Furnace. N. 7th Grade Pill Furnace, 7th Grade Pill Fire. The white-haired old man was taken aback, and a trace of surprise appeared in his old eyes. "I looked outside for a while just now. It seems that the highest quality pill in your building is only 4 dragon-shaped pill chi?" Qin Feiyang looked at the white-haired old man and smiled faintly. "What do you mean?" The white-haired old man was suspicious. "What I want to say is that this is all there is to it." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. "That's all?" The white-haired old man was taken aback for a moment before a mocking expression crept up on his face. He coldly snorted and said, "You're so young, yet you talk big. Since you're so disdainful, then this old man would like to see how many dragon-shaped pills you can refine. When the time comes, don't just refine pill veins. That would be a joke." Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "What if I can refine a dragon-shaped pill?" "You? Even if you can refine a dragon-shaped core chi, you'll only be able to refine half of it. Can it be compared to a pill with 4 dragon-shaped core energies? This old man really regrets meeting you now. You've overestimated yourself and overestimated yourself." The white-haired old man sneered. "Damn, you're still excited?" Madman's eyes flashed coldly. "Don't worry." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and looked at the white-haired old man. "I'm asking you, if I can refine a complete dragon-shaped pill, what will you do? The white-haired old man stared at Qin Feiyang. So calm? Could he really be an alchemy monster? But he basically knew all the alchemists within a radius of hundreds of millions of miles, but he had never heard of such a person. Why aren't you saying anything? Is that all you've got? Madman sneered. You, the white-haired old man suddenly frowned. Tisk. Molu? That's all there is to it. Madman's face was full of disdain. How dare you? The white-haired old man slammed his palm on the desk and shouted, Fine, if you can refine a complete dragon-shaped pill, this old man. Madman's eyes turned cold as he stared at the white-haired old man aggressively and said, Then kneel down and kowtow to us. Old bastard, do you dare to do that? Old bastard? The white-haired old man fumed and said angrily, Sure, this old man will bet with you. That's what you said. We didn't force you. Qin Feiyang smiled. That's what this old man said. Hurry up and refine the pill. The white-haired old man shouted. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded and took out a set of medicinal ingredients for the divine life pill. Without any preparation, he directly revived the netherworld demonic flame. Although he had the pill king's wealth now, he rarely refined pills, but his experience and talent were all here. The entire process was neither fast nor slow. It was as smooth as flowing water. Rather than saying that he was refining pills, it was better to say that it was a wonderful performance. Seeing this, the white-haired old man's heart couldn't help but skip a beat. This kind of technique and mentality wasn't something an ordinary alchemist could do. Soon, a strong medicinal fragrance came from the study. Whoosh! Another few breaths passed. A divine light flashed out from the heaven-flame divine furnace. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and the divine light went straight to the white-haired old man. The white-haired old man grabbed it in his hand and looked down. His expression suddenly became dull. There were actually 4 dragon-shaped pill auras. And they were all complete dragon-shaped pill auras. How was this possible? He was dumbfounded and stood there motionless. 4, there were actually 4, since when was there such a monstrous alchemist born in the eastern mountain city? Qin Feiyang put away the netherworld demonic flame and the heaven flame divine furnace and smiled faintly. How was it? The white-haired old man trembled and looked up at Qin Feiyang. He muttered, Who exactly are you? Don't care who I am. I don't need you to kneel. However, the moral character of your devil palace has truly broadened my horizons. Fortunately, I also promised that woman and didn't enter your demon hall. What a joke. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly and turned to look at Frenzy. Senior brother, let's go. See that? Don't look down on others in the future. Also, a businessman should have the attitude of a businessman. The customer is God. Frenzy glanced at the white-haired old man indifferently and followed Qin Feiyang to the door. The white-haired old man's face was ashen as he said angrily, Don't you want the pill fire and pill furnace? No need. I'm afraid of dirtying my hands if I take them from someone like you. Qin Feiyang said without turning back. Dirtying my hands? After being humiliated repeatedly, the white-haired old man was already angry. When he heard Qin Feiyang's words, he couldn't hold it in anymore and a trace of killing intent emerged. Swoosh! At the same time, Qin Feiyang suddenly turned around and looked at the white-haired old man. Because he felt the killing intent. You'd better put away your killing intent immediately, or I'll make your demon tower disappear. Qin Feiyang said. Make the demon tower disappear? The white-haired old man looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. He was probably a fool. Did he know who the owner of the demon tower was? In the entire eastern continent, who would dare to be impudent in the demon tower? Not to mention saying such audacious words. Clang! But at this moment, The door was kicked open. "Who is it?" The white-haired old man shouted angrily and looked at the door, only to see the middle-aged man standing outside. Qin Feiyang and Frenzy were also stunned. Wasn't this the person who followed them? He actually followed them here. And from the looks of it, he was even more arrogant than them. At least they didn't directly kick the door. "Who are you? Did you eat a leopard's guts?" First, it was Qin Feiyang and Frenzy who repeatedly humiliated him, and now there was an even bolder person who directly kicked the door. The white-haired old man was already extremely angry. "I think the one who ate a leopard's guts is you." The middle-aged man shouted and strode into the study. His face was gloomy. "Impudent, impudent." The white-haired old man was so angry that his neck was crooked. "I really didn't expect that there would be someone like you in my demon hall." The middle-aged man shook his head with a face full of disappointment. "Demon hall?" Qin Feiyang and Frenzy looked at each other. The white-haired old man was also stunned. After sizing up the middle-aged man for a while, he asked in surprise, "You're from the demon hall?" The middle-aged man took out a facial restoration pill and threw it into his mouth. Immediately, his appearance began to change. Gradually, an old man with fiery red hair appeared in front of the three of them. This, Qin Feiyang and Frenzy looked at each other. Wasn't this Elder Hua? Elder Hua had been following them all this time? "You are." The white-haired old man looked at Elder Hua's appearance and couldn't help but tremble. As the owner of the Demon Tower, he actually didn't see Elder Hua often. Because Elder Hua's position in the Demon Hall was too high, it was very difficult for people like him to see him. But once, he was lucky enough to see him from afar. The old man in front of him was almost exactly the same as the old man he saw back then. "Humph." Elder Hua snorted through his nose and said, "The higher-ups sent you here to manage the demonic tower so that you can manage the business here well, not so that you can abuse your power here." "I'm sorry." The white-haired old man's eyes trembled. He quickly ran out from behind the desk and knelt on the ground with a pale face. Qin Feiyang and Frenzy looked at each other. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and said, "Senior, take your time to deal with your family matters. We'll take our leave first." After saying that, the two turned and left. "Wait." Elder Hua turned around and looked at them. The two stopped and turned around with a smile. "Senior, do you have any other instructions?" "I say, why do the two of you look at me like I'm a ghost?" Elder Hua didn't hide it. "Why would we? You saved our lives, we can't thank you enough. We just don't want to hinder you from dealing with your family matters." Qin Feiyang and Frenzy laughed. They actually know Elder Hua? Hearing the three's conversation, the white-haired old man couldn't help but feel his scalp go numb. He never thought that these two seemingly ordinary young men would actually know Elder Hua. And judging from their relationship, it wasn't simple. Elder Hua listened to the two's conversation and snorted, "Grateful? If you really want to be grateful, you wouldn't have rejected Xiao Yun's invitation." "Xiao Yun?" Qin Feiyang and Frenzy were puzzled. "It's that girl Chu Yun. Didn't she give you her identity token?" Elder Hua said. "Are you talking about this token?" Qin Feiyang took out the black token and asked. "Yes. If you really need anything, just come to the Demon Tower and take out this token. Who would dare to make things difficult for you?" Elder Hua rolled his eyes. At the same time, looking at the token in Qin Feiyang's hand, the white-haired old man felt like he was struck by lightning. Who are these two people? They actually have Lord Chu Yun's identity token. He finally realized that he had kicked an iron plate this time. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.